per game, taking on North Dakota. Grand Valley State averaging nearly 60 points per game, Dave Sim.
All right, Brian, thank you. Averaging 60 points a game in football. My goodness. Here's Sullivan. This one's far from over here. 58.1 to go. Makes it a 2-point game. With 58.1 seconds to go. Here's some pressure now by Arkansas. Smallest team on the floor for the Razorbacks. Well, that's something that they see more pressure in his hands than Bishop keep the foul out. Hamilton gets it to Bradford. Almost knocked away. It is knocked away. Arkansas got it. Thought about it. Tatum gets it to Gibson. They look to Dean with 39 seconds. Gibson got a lane underneath. Kicks it outside. Tatum, Fargo. He'll fire three. Oh, my goodness. They're playing the game here. The Razorbacks have gotten the lead right back with 31-1 to go. Oh, my goodness. Just holding the seat, folks. Oh. 6 times that Fargo's hit a trade today. He's got 25. And Illinois fans thought this baby might have been over. But far from the case with 31.1 seconds to go. They recognized their shooter. They found him, and he hit it. 91-90. And let's toss it right back to Brian Kenny.
Once again, Dave, we're getting ready to kick things off in the Division II National Championship game. Grand Valley State and North Dakota, just letting people know that we'll get you to Florence, Alabama as soon as this one is over. Again, Grand Valley State, the #1 offensive team in Division II football, 13-0. The game is underway. We'll get you out there as soon as your ball game is done. Dave?
Brian, thank you very much. In Florence, Alabama, great host down there for the NCAA Division II Championship. Here's another look at how Arkansas was able to get the lead back.
Just a good job of moving the ball around. Gennaro gets it at the top. And you can see right, yes, baby. Happy for that boy.
Gennaro Fargo has been outstanding. 25 points. 1-point game.
All right, let's see how they handle it. Get it to Frank Williams.
Fargo's going to pick up Frank Williams. See if they trap him. Here comes the trap.
Well, see, they tried to trap him just across half court. Oh, Dean missed it. He had an opportunity. And they got Fargo. See, I just don't let Williams get it back. I don't care who else beats me.
Bradford,
great point.
Capelli, give and go. Very well done. 92-91. 11.7 seconds to go. They still got a chance here. 10 seconds. Dean inside. They leaves it off. It's good.
They call no basket.
They wipe it off. Boy, Dean got what he wanted. He went too deep, though. An offensive foul.
It is a tough call to make, but it's got to be made. Nolan Richardson trying to maintain some composure so he can get his guys into the game the same way.
Nolan Richardson stare down reminiscent of John Chaney in the NCAAs a few years ago.
Oh, that is a tough call because he missed. I think he missed Archibald, but he comes back. All right. No, Archibald is there. No, Archibald's there. Archibald's there. Because he avoids, watch, it's Crapolia he avoids, and he's got to go at Archibald. It's a tough call.
That is a real tough call, no question about it. 5.5 to go, 5.5 seconds to go. Illinois,
you know what? It's a tougher call than I thought it was.
Yeah, buddy.
That's disappointing, but you know, at this point, it is.
Yep.
You know, you play your heart out, you try to figure it out.
Let's see.
We got to make sure the time is right, you know, Dave.
Yeah.
All right, it's already down to 3 seconds. Now, I don't know what we missed here.
Yeah. 5:45 seconds on the clock. According to what we just saw, the game's over.
The game is over.
And And Illinois has just got to get it in. They foul Frank Williams. And Frank Williams takes it, no problem. Dean has picked up the foul. Dean, second foul on Dean.
Now, Nolan Richardson, this
Fourth foul on Dean.
Yeah, Dean picks up the foul, but Nolan's got to be pretty pleased because they get more time.
Oh, yeah. That's right. What we had was no time left.
Yeah, basically, I'm a little bit. I don't understand.
Yeah.
What I saw on the clock, and we're synced up like we normally are solidly.
Absolutely.
Game clock.
So even if he makes these two, 94, they still can come down and hit a three. So that's very important there for Illinois. Take another look.
It's 3 seconds down. It's under the now.
Yeah, I mean, that should have ended the game right there. Illinois, can you believe this? 36 out of 48 at the line. Frank Williams, a major part of that.
Now, Frank's been solid in the second half. He's had the ball the majority of the time, and he's made the plays. And he's the guy that I know Arkansas did not want to touch the ball, but they still have a chance.
That's right. Frank Williams has 25 points, 3-point game with 4.5 seconds to go. And Nolan Richardson, Illinois calls a timeout to set its defense. So both teams out of times out, and we'll continue for the final 4.5 seconds when we return. We're going to keep it here now. 4.5 to go. Illinois.
Mike has never bought me any jewelry except for my wedding ring. He got my car detailed once.
And that brought her to tears. When it's time to get the girl in your life something special.
We just had a baby.
Say hi, Nina.
The last month of my pregnancy, I was a blimp, and I was not feeling very attractive.
Walmart jewelry probably has just what you're looking for.
One day he comes in and hands me this box, and he says, it's a birthstone ring.
At an everyday low price.
I said, honey, it's beautiful, but it's not my birthstone. He said, I know. It's Nina's.
Walmart jewelry. Special gifts for special girls.
Welcome back. Brian Kenny here in the studio. We'll get you back to the basketball game for the final seconds there. Grand Valley State and North Dakota. North Dakota has the football and driving. We'll get you to that game, Dave.
Here we go. Here's Dean. Taken away by Williams. And that ball, Frank Williams stole the ball. And Illinois survives. 94-91.
What a great game.
And once again, a final score. The Illini win it by 3, 94-91. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Let's go to the NCAA Division II Football Championship. Here's Mark Jones, Todd Christensen, and Dave Ryan. Gentlemen. All right, Dave, we're here in Florence, Alabama, the site of the Division II title game between Grand Valley State of Allendale, Michigan, against University of North Dakota from Grand Forks, North Dakota. I'm Mark Jones, along with Todd Christensen, Dave Ryan down at the sidelines. North Dakota received the opening kickoff. This is the 9th play of their opening drive, 8th play actually, with 11:28 to play in the first period. Zeros on the floor. Into the end zone and incomplete. Intended for Schleusner. And in comes the field goal unit for the University of North Dakota. The Fighting Sioux come into the game with a record of 13-1 overall. That's their head coach, Dale Lennon, in his 3rd year. 2 years ago went 9-2. Last year, 8-3, 10-1 in the regular season this year. Overall, he is 30-6.
Now Cameron Paterka comes on 23 for 35 this year. That's an awful lot of field goal attempts, particularly impressive beyond 50 yards. But in between, not quite as accurate. 7 for 16 between 20 and 40, Mark.
This one coming from 36 yards out. And he knocks it through. They failed to get the touchdown down near the red zone, but a pretty impressive opening drive nonetheless by Coach Lennon's team on the opening drive of the ball game.
Well, one of the things that they did effectively is they got the ball on the ground and they were moving it. Couple of throws over the middle. Nice play by Graf getting to the outside and getting the extra yardage. But the key for them is going to be the offensive line. The big people up front. North Dakota, despite being a Division II team, is a group that averages nearly 300 pounds per man. And ultimately, what Coach Lennon wants to do is he wants to wear down the Lakers over the course of time during the 4 quarters of this ball game, Mark.
It's the first ever meeting
and first ever meeting in the championship game between these two teams. Grand Valley State, incredibly coming into this game with a 13-0 record, Todd. They've won 19 consecutive games dating back to last season. These two teams 4 weeks ago began their playoff and championship drives respectively, doing it via different methods.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm anxious to see Grand Valley's offense. In their regular season, Mark, they average 600 yards a game. It's unbelievable, and 58 points. On the other side, of course, North Dakota is famous for their defense. They finally put behind them the specter of North Dakota State, 5 times national champions at Division II, and they have really put together defense, as you can see right there. So you've got a case here in this game of the irresistible force and the immovable object.
Classic matchup between the two teams. Of course, Grand Valley State, #1 in total offense in NCAA Division II, and they will start off their opening drive of the ball game on their own 20-yard line. Now, a late change in the starting lineup. Todd Wojciechowski will be their starting quarterback. He's a redshirt freshman, improved during the course of the week in practice. Of course, they're not playing with one of the key cogs in their offense. We'll get to that a little bit later, but he's completing 62% of his throws.
And, of course, in their backs and receivers, Reggie Spearman has been a key for them. Back-to-back 100-yard games, because Grand Valley State, with the injury to Ains, has been forced to rely more on the ground game.
Reggie Spearman is the lone back on 1st and 10. Wojciechowski completes his first pass of the game. Riondo making the tackle on the play. Here's a look at the offensive line up front. Now, they've turned out 2 NFL prospects and players in the last 5 years. Not bad.
And, of course, both tackles, they think, have that ability. And, of course, up front for North Dakota, look for Casey Blue in the middle to have a game. He has to play well for them. He cannot allow Spearman 100 yards in this one.
Coach Lennon's defense will have to deal with a very up-tempo, prolific, no-huddle offense. They like to speed things up, sometimes a little bit too fast. Mike down in the field.
Mike Wilford, you had just mentioned, offensive tackle. One of those pro prospects is the guy who moved.
Puddlenicki, O'Neill, Irvin, and Schmidt, the linebackers for North Dakota.
And in the secondary, take a look at the 2 corners who have combined. Dustin Thornburg has 9 interceptions on the season. The secondary as a whole, 26 interceptions. Very impressive.
Yeah, on the other side, Riondo with 7 picks to his credit. Coach Lennon in his 3rd year as head coach. Former UND D coordinator. Defense his stamp. The pass incomplete and no flags on the play. We mentioned that they're playing without one of their key players, and let's go downstairs to Dave Ryan for more.
That's right, Mark. Todd mentioned it a moment ago. Kurt Ains is here, the record-setting quarterback in Division II, runner-up for the Harlan Hill Award as the best player in Division II. Hurt 3 weeks ago against Bloomsburg of Pennsylvania, the D2 playoff opener. Kurt, how tough is it for you to watch this one from the sideline?
Just being a competitor and, you know, just being down here, it's tough to watch, but, you know, I'm just thankful that my team's down here, and this whole experience it's just been great, and it's been my pleasure to be down here, and the Southern hospitality thing is really working out for us.
Mark, we'll hear more from Kurt after this play.
All right, Dave, 3rd down and 12. Wojciechowski going up top. Incomplete, barely off the fingertips of David Kirkus. And let's go back to Dave downstairs.
So earlier today, you had a chance to throw the football around a little bit. I'm sure that was nice because you haven't had a chance to be on the field after the torn PCL and the dislocated knee, which is going to take 8 months to rehab. Also got to do the coin flip. How did it feel to be involved that way?
It's just an honor. My team honored me by naming me the game captain, and I was able to walk out there, and I threw my crutches down, and it's just a great feeling just being down here, and hopefully we can pull off a win here.
Guys, surgery January 2nd for him, maybe 10 months of rehab. He hopes to be back next season.
That would be good news for Grand Valley State. Meanwhile, Pat Williams punting, averaging a little over 39 yards per punt. Not a great effort here, coming down at the 44-yard line. So the Fighting Sioux back on the field with the ball, working with the shorter field this time out after that 26-yard punt. We'll be back to the D2 title game right after this.
I gave me best mate Wes my Pentax so he can snap a picky of me with this gorgeous python. This is a spectacular snake. My Pentax is so reliable, he's got the shot by now.
Come on, mate, back off a bit, that's it.
I can't breathe.
Keep smiling, mate, keep smiling. Move a bit, that's it. Oh, geez, you move. Smile. Perfect.
Before it cocks up with you.
Oh, crikey. Pentax, reliable gear for your adventures.
Moo.
Now
Now's a great time to call 1-800-GATEWAY, because right now you can get a great deal on a computer like the Gateway 500S. It comes loaded with an Intel Pentium 4 processor, 20GB hard drive, and a CD burner. And if you call now, we'll double the RAM for free. We'll even give you the choice of a color printer, a scanner, or a PC camera for free, too. You get it all for under $1,200, so call 1-800-GATEWAY now. That's 1-800-GATEWAY.
Hey, boys, what y'all doing?
Just out here checking these old fences.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, is that $1?
Yeah, it's on my side of the fence.
Woo, wrong. That's on my side.
No, that's on my side.
It is on my side.
Guys, it's just $1.
Oh, yeah, with 10, 10, 220, all calls up to 20 minutes or 99 cents.
20 minutes for 99 cents?
And 7 cents a minute after 20.
Wow, that's cheap.
Guess he had to make a phone call. Call me.
Dial 1010-220.
Little geography lesson in the University of North Dakota and Grand Valley State, North Dakota, and Fargo. Meanwhile, the Lakers located just outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan, about 10 miles, playing in the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. And, of course, we're down in the south there in Florence, Alabama. And the weather in those respective places, quite a discrepancy. 63 degrees here, a chilly 16, Todd, in Grand Forks. But it's sunny at least.
Yeah, being the heart of Dixie ain't all bad, is it?
And that is your weekend weather forecast. 3-0, second drive of the ball game for the Fighting Sioux. Klosterman complete to Graff. Klosterman is a 6'1", 195-pound junior. He leads all Division II passers in postseason touchdown passes with 11 coming into the ball game.
And the man that just caught the ball, number 81, Dan Graff, is the fastest player on the team. 4.35, 4.41, or 4.52, depending upon who you listen to. But more importantly, coming into this game, 71 receptions with 12 touchdowns.
Wow, their all-time receiving leader. First down and 10 after that catch. Ball on the 34-yard line. Using a lot of the play clock that time. Perkarevich running it into the boundary. Pushed out of bounds at the 32-yard line that time by Terry Foster. Let's take a look at the offensive line. Size and athleticism paramount up front for them.
6'7", 315-pound Matt Knutson is the guy to look at left tackle for North Dakota. He is their road grader and somebody that they genuinely believe can play at the next level on Sunday.
These four guys are going to be really physically challenged today. Fatigue might become a factor, Todd.
Well, Shad Risk doesn't seem to bother him too much, at least over the course of the season. 20 tackles for loss and 11 sacks.
Klosterman so far 3 of 6 passing for 47 yards. Second down and 9. Out of the backfield, complete to Graff, brought down immediately by Foster. Again, his second consecutive tackle at the 30-yard line. The linebackers, Cole, Lindsey, and Foster.
Good tacklers all. Each one of them had 11 tackles last week, and in the secondary, both Smith and Barnes are going to be challenged by Graff on the outside.
Their base coverage, man coverage, changed it, and we'll mix in a little bit of zone as well.
Oddly enough, Scott Mackey, the strong safety, leads them in interceptions, and rarely does that happen, Mark.
Third down and 6. Incomplete. Perkarevich had a handle and then lost it. And it'll be fourth down. They're just on the fringe of field goal territory.
Well, remember, this is Peterka now. Here's a situation where it's a little bit disjointed. He needed to get him the ball a little bit quicker. And yes, Pekarevich could have had it. But as a result, they've got the great leg. I think this is a big advantage for North Dakota, and that's in their field goal kicker. Peterka has kicked one this year, Mark, 59 yards, whereas the longest for Grand Valley State has been only 31.
Wow, and that 59-yarder, Todd, was outdoors on a wet, slick field. This one coming from inside 50 yards, 47. And unlike the first attempt, this one a little bit wide. So Grand Valley State University will have the ball when we come back. Wojciechowski with a chance to do his thing. We'll be right back.
Honey, if you're watching this, I've gotten a Suzuki King Quad during Quad Fair, and I won't be back for a while. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. The deal was too good to pass up. I had choice of a free Warren or Super Winch or $300 of free accessories. They also offered low monthly payments or low APRs. How could I say no? I'll miss you. Could you feed the dog?
Stop by your local Suzuki dealer today for great quad fare deals.
I am Sonic Man. And I'm out to prove what a smooth, clean shave you'll get with the Panasonic Sonic Shaving Max. Dry, or wet, or wet, or wet. The world's fastest shaver. 13,000 RPM. And this is the one, baby. Smooth. And easy to rinse.
Having some fun, fellas. Jump harder now. Put more power to it now. That loud enough for you guys? That was it.
The NCAA Division II Football Championship is brought to you by Pentax Corporation. Reliable gear for your adventures.
Welcome back to Brawley Stadium here in Florence, Alabama. I'm Mark Jones along with Todd Christensen and Dave Ryan. North Dakota with a 3-0 lead in the Division II championship game. 1st and 10 for Grand Valley. And that's Lesniak. Let's go back to Brian Kinney in the studio.
Mark, the 1AA quarterfinals underway. Number 1 Montana taking on Sam Houston State. Here's Yo Humphrey from Montana in easily, and it's 7-0 Montana. Later, though, Sam Houston State coming back. Josh McCowan will keep it. It's all tied up 7-7. The winner here will take on the Maine Northern Iowa winner, Mark.
Yo Humphrey, my new favorite name in college football, Todd. 2nd down. Wojciechowski incomplete, intended for David Kirkus, number 80. Threw it behind him. A couple of quick facts regarding our respective schools. Allendale, Michigan, the site of Grand Valley State. About 18,000 students there, full and part-time. The Lakers, maybe the only team in sports that should be named the Lakers.
Yeah.
Looking at where they're approximated.
Good point. Yeah, LA should have given that up when they transferred, right, from Minneapolis? Absolutely.
3rd down and 9 for Brian Kelly's team. The Sioux coming on a blitz.
Nice
Circus
catch.
with a catch at the 48-yard line for the 1st down. That's why they call him Circus Kirkus, Todd.
Well, you know what? The numbers that this young man has put up are absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's just astounding. But the thing is that on this wet field, to be able to come up with a hands catch like this in the middle of the field is just tremendous. This young man and what he has done this year has been unbelievable. 32 touchdowns. I got to tell you, when I first saw that statistic, I genuinely thought it was a misprint. He has 32 touchdown receptions.
Breaking the Division II records of Jerry Rice and Troy Edwards. Fumble. They recover it, but they'll lose some yardage back to the 41-yard line. Christofferson making the stop on the play, but back to the very impressive numbers by David Kirkus.
Well, at 6'3", 185 pounds, you would have anticipated that he would have got a couple of looks at Division I schools, and indeed he did, a couple Duke and Army, but coming out of high school, Mark, he was only 155 pounds. Well, I'm sure a lot of those schools regret that now as you see the numbers that he has put up, just absolutely astounding. His seasonal numbers, 77 catches, 1,624 yards, 32 that's just amazing.
He says just to be mentioned in the same breath as Jerry Rice is great because he idolized Rice growing up, and he makes a Rice-like grab right there. Another 1st down at the 39-yard line. He was working on Dustin Thornburg on the corner. Let's go downstairs to Dave Ryan.
Yeah, guys, you notice he's wearing the number 80, as in Jerry Rice. He idolized Jerry, Mark, as you said, not only for his heroics on the field, but great hands, fluid routes, and his Hall of Fame type stats, but also because Jerry Rice came from a Division II school, Mississippi Valley State, where a player like Kirkus really shows hard work and talent can overcome just about anything, even playing at a small Division II program and being 150 pounds out of high school.
Yeah, sure. 1st down and 10, and he's only a junior. He's got another season left. Lesniak down to the 27-yard line. And Todd, now the offense for the Lakers gaining a little bit of rhythm.
And it's a great move by Lesniak. He just completely fools Josh Christopherson. Eric Schmidt comes on the blitz and whacks Wojciechowicz. But Lesniak looks like he's going to come back to the middle of the bubble. Instead, steps back to the outside, goes away from his friends, and gets the extra yardage. So many times you watch this play. Watch as he comes to the right. You think he's going to come back to the middle. Now watch as he makes the move. Look out. Just drops the feet of Christopherson, gets to the outside, and Lesniak at 5'8", 185. He can scoot a little bit.
Yeah, he's the big playmaker. More of the speed back. Here he is again. Lesniak brought down behind the line of scrimmage at the 28-yard line by Travis O'Neal. Lesniak didn't get a lot of carries in the last 2 playoff games because they played on a wet and muddy track, and he's a guy that depends a lot, Todd, on cuts and changing direction.
He does, and Spearman's a little more powerful. You mentioned O'Neal on the tackle. Mark, he was one of the guys that got fooled the last play, and so he wanted his comeuppance to get in there and get Lesniak, and he did indeed, dropping for a loss of 1.
On this drive, quarterback Wojciechowicz is 3 of 4 passing for 48 yards. 2nd down and 11. Grand Valley State trailing 3-0. Pass complete to Hibber, and Hibber weaving his way down to the 23-yard line before he's finally pushed out of bounds.
Great blocking downfield by the wide receivers. It appeared that North Dakota had that play stuffed. And one of the things that has to happen here, Mark, I think just early on as I watch, unless the play is designated for somebody else, the quarterback only has eyes for number 80. I mean, they're looking at Kirkus all the time. And so North Dakota would be well served to double team him.
And now, as you say, Wojciechowicz, Brady into the ball game. 3rd down and 5, more of a running quarterback, and that's what he does. Getting the 1st down and then some. Brady down to the 5, 1st down and goal for Grand Valley State. Finally brought down by O'Neal.
Well, last week he rushed for over 100 yards, and really it would seem that it's a little bit predictable when he comes into the game. You know that he's going to run the ball, but he's so effective at it. There's nothing North Dakota can do. Gets all the way down to the 5-yard line on the quarterback draw.
Yeah, he's only thrown the ball 14 times. Actually started a lot of games this season at receiver. Meanwhile, 1st down and goal. Wojciechowicz back in the ball game. Nose of the ball at the 5-yard line. Flag down, incomplete in the end zone. Intended for number 30, Mike Holloway, the fullback. But Kotelnicki was in on the coverage. Number 48 right there may have been flagged.
Now, just let me tell you something from a personal standpoint, Mark, and that's this. I'm so pleased to see that they actually called holding where the tight end is concerned. I'm telling you, Mark, so many times, and we'll get the officials' call.
We have pass interference on the defense in the end zone. Ball will be placed on the 2-yard line. 1st down.
Well, I'm not sure that couldn't have been defensive holding. Get a chance right here to the left of your screen. Great release, and Kotelnicki has no choice but just to grab him. And as I say, there are so many times, as I speak from experience down near the goal line, they usually won't make that call.
Here's Brady, Todd, back in the ball game. Touchdown, Grand Valley State. So Coach Brian Kelly mixing it up as he moved further down to the field using both quarterback Ames on the sideline. Their number 1 QB watching his understudies do a prolific job.
Well, it shows a lot of resilience on the part of the Grand Valley State team, and I say it from this vantage point as Brady gets over the goal line. North Dakota had really dominated the early going, essentially with the 3 and out. It didn't look like the offense was terribly effective for Grand Valley, but after the missed field goal, they got a little spirit, and sure enough, mixing the run and the pass, they go 70 yards for the touchdown.
And Sontag in for the extra point, knocks it through, and the Lakers, who led the nation in D2 in scoring at 53 points per contest, with their first points of the ball game, they lead 7-3. The Fighting Sioux with the ball when we come back.
There are powers of the human spirit which allow one to achieve extraordinary dreams. At the University of North Dakota, athletes develop the character and strength of mind and body to reach those dreams. UND players contend competitively with the nation's best. And with state-of-the-art sporting centers, players train and compete in the finest facilities in the world. Fighting Sioux athletics have a long tradition of producing champions in the classroom and on the playing field. Get into the spirit of Fighting Sioux athletics at the University of North Dakota.
Did the first station winner catch you by surprise? Keep old man winter at bay with the trip to Fisher Motor Service Department. Let's start with some new snow tires. Fisher's carries a great selection for all makes and models. And with the purchase of a set of snow tires, you'll receive a computerized alignment check, a $19.95 value. We'll also give your car a complete cold weather inspection so you're ready for whatever is ahead. So let the battle with old man winter begin with a trip to Fisher Motor Service Department, North Dakota's only ASC Blue Seal certified dealership.
Great people, great service too.
Different down here. Madden NFL 2002 EA Sports. It's in the game. Rated E.
Well, I don't know if two heads are better than one, Todd, but sometimes those two can be almost as good as one, Kurt Ains.
It's interesting, too, that these two young men, they're not used to being on camera. They don't quite know how to respond. All right, enough. Okay, hi. I don't know. All right, okay. Yeah.
Brady and Wojciechowski, left to right. There's Ains, the quarterback that was injured 3 games ago in the first half of their first playoff game.
Oh, sure, he wanders over when the camera's there. Come on, Ains. Come on, man. Give him their moment in the sun. You had 49 touchdowns, for goodness sake. Come on.
That was the 99th touchdown of the season for
That's
Grand Valley
astounding.
State. That's incredible.
Astounding.
They come in 13-0 overall. They haven't lost a game dating back to 19 appearances a season ago. They won 19 consecutive contests. And this is their chance at history. Graff at the 3. Brought down at the 23-yard line by Josh Coppo. They're saying there's a late flag on the field now.
Well, there was a late hit. You know, when you only get the opportunity so often, you're going to sprint in there and make a hit at the very end. And Ken Kavanaugh said, you know what, that's enough. That's very late. We're going to tack on 15 yards. Youngster was clear back at the 10-yard line, and the pileup had already been there, and he decided to jump on top. Take a look at the end of the play now. Graff comes running up the middle. It's good coverage on the part of Grand Valley State. Now watch from the right and bottom of your screen. He's already down, plays over. Here comes number 25. That's Ryan Rainwater, a reserve. I love to say that name. Ryan Rainwater, defensive back from Grand Blanc, Michigan. And you see that Brian Kelly not very happy with him, saying, yeah, be aggressive, but be smart.
It's interesting when you look at Kelly and how his personality is reflected in his team. They're very upbeat, very outgoing, very outspoken, very hyper, as in stark contrast to North Dakota, their coach and their players. This is the fullback, Blaze Larson. After a gain of about 3, let's go back to the studio with Brian Kenny.
Marking back to the 1AA quarterfinals, Montana, the #1 seed, has won 16 straight at home. Tied up here with Sam Houston State, but John Edwards, quarterback, takes it himself, and it's now 14-7, Montana in the first quarter.
Second down and 6, Brian back here. Ball at the 41-yard line. Klosterman has a man incomplete through the arms of his backup tight end, Chad Mustard.
Chad Mustard, they had exactly what they wanted, man-for-man coverage. Terrific athlete, former basketball player, North Dakota on the out and up. He's wide open. The ball goes right between the 4 and the 5. That's a terrific throw, and unfortunately for Mustard, he couldn't hang on. As I say, it's surprising because this young man, terrific athlete, he finishes his eligibility in basketball, comes into the office of Coach Lynn and says, can I play a little bit? He says, sure. In his senior year, marks 16 points and 8 rebounds a game. It's not like he was some reserve.
Good athlete and showed his ability to get upfield a little bit too there, Todd. Third down and 6. Smith in motion. Lakers came with a blitz, applying some pressure. It was Clarence Lindsey almost getting to the quarterback, Klosterman, and it's 4th down. On comes the punt team.
To be frank with you, I just don't understand why they don't just continue to keep the ball on the ground. It was so effective in the first 2 drives, and now they're trying to mix things up. And in fairness to Chris Mussman, offensive coordinator of North Dakota, Mustard did drop that ball. But again, they're putting an awful lot of pressure on the quarterback. Lindsey, the one that comes up the middle.
Dale Lennon's team 0 for 3 in third down situations so far. This is Benton with the punt. Not a great one. He shanks it, and it's out of bounds at the 39-yard line, and another flag down on the field after that 20-yard punt. Our man wearing the white hat today, Ken Cavanaugh.
See, they're debating this one. I think what they saw is they saw Kirkus come sprinting up and bump the guy even though the ball was going out of bounds.
This one going to go against the receiving team, the Lakers.
And that's particularly strange when the ball hit the ground so early. You would think that everybody would stop blocking, but as it is, here are the North Dakota Quick Facts.
Yeah, 16 degrees we mentioned, right, back in Grand Forks. The Fighting Sioux playing in the North Central Conference. Let's go downstairs to Dave.
All right, Mark, we're playing on PAT, Prescription Athletic Turf, here at Brawley Stadium in Florence. That's a grass surface with a sand base below it. It's supposed to withstand 6 inches of rain. We're not getting that much today. It is wet. It is slick. Now, North Dakota has not played a grass game since October 27th. You might think that'd be a problem, but talk with Dan Graff, the receiver, prior to the game. He said, no worries. We worked inside at our Lara Center
and Dave,
all week long. But they're not worried about the cuts they're going to make. They felt in pregame, 2 days of practice here in Florence, it wouldn't be a problem for them.
All right, Dave, and saw your kicks are looking a little dirty. I hope you didn't wear your nice Italian leather shoes down there.
Dustin Thornburg stride for stride with Kirkus. Of course, in fairness, if the ball had been aired out a little bit more, you can see the frustration on his face. Hey, I had a shot at that, but Thornburg turns around and makes the play.
Nasty track down there. And Dave Ryan, yes, Dave, I like the footing you've gone with today. It works. In the air again and picked off this time. O'Neal with the interception. And the Fighting Sioux with the first turnover of the ball game down to the 33-yard line of Grand Valley State.
You know, it's interesting, Mark. There was an interesting head fake by the quarterback. Wojciechowski thought that if he looked to his left, that somebody would be fooled him in throwing down the middle. Take a look. Watch the quarterback. Now watch. He's going to quickly look to his left. Now he comes back. O'Neal is not fooled. Running with him man for man. Does a great job of cutting in front of the receiver. Banks to make the interception, as you point out. Big turnover for North Dakota, who has struggled on offense the last 2 series.
That pass intended for Terrence Banks, as you mentioned. And boy, this defense of North Dakota is stout. First down and 10 for the offense, though, at the 34. Perkarevich down to the 28-yard line.
Interesting stat on that, Mark. That's now the 30th interception of the season for North Dakota. Very impressive in the secondary and up front. And right here, it is, again, at the risk of being redundant. This is what they need to do with the big bodies up front. They need to continue to run the ball, and there's nothing wrong, Mark, with getting 4 yards on first down.
Yeah. 315, 294, 293, 292, and 300 pounds across the front of the offensive line. Second down and 6. Perkarevich, the lone back. Gets to the edge and brought down at the 25-yard line. A nice little chunk. Let's go back to the studio. Brian Kenny, what's up with Lehigh?
We got Lehigh and Furman in one of the other quarterfinals in 1AA playoffs here. Lehigh coming in unbeaten, but here's Tarekio O'Neal, a 7-yard touchdown run, and Furman, he took in a pile of players. Furman takes a 34-10 lead, Mark.
Right, and all these teams playing towards college football enthronement and enthronement. Kind of helps when you have a playoff sometimes, Todd.
Gee, that's a novel thought.
Third down and 2. Both these teams began their journey 4 weeks ago. Perkarevich has the first down. Brought down to the 14-yard line. Got a good block that time by Butler. Wasn't that easy last week for North Dakota. Had a tough game against UC Davis, 14-2. Meanwhile, Grand Valley State had a couple of late big defensive plays to move along 34-16.
Seems odd to say that, though, but in the case of Grand Valley State, that 34 points mark was the second lowest total they had all year.
Just couldn't put it together, huh?
Perkarevitz now is getting it going, rushing 6 carries for 34 yards.
Blaze Larson, the lone back here on 1st down and 10. So with 2 tight ends and 2 wideouts, it's Larson right between the tackles, down to the 9-yard line, pounding away with that 248 pounds.
He reminds me a little bit, those of you that are hardcore football fans will remember a running back for the Chicago Bears named Robin Earl. He was 6'5", 250 pounds, and he didn't quite have the hands to be a tight end. And of course, I find it interesting at 6'5" and 245. How can you call a fullback? How can his first name be Blaze? Come on. What's wrong with that?
That's a misnomer. Yeah.
It is indeed. But they've been very excited of what he has done over the last couple of games, averaging over 6 yards a carry.
2nd down and 6. Graf split wide to the bottom of your screen. Lakers come with a blitz. They throw the fade. Incomplete. Intended for Graf.
And that was an audible. Klosterman had what he wanted. He had Graf to the outside, and he had him for the touchdown, but he just overthrew it. The problem, of course, with that audible then, Mark, is one of the hardest places in the red zone, of course, is now you come up 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, whereas if you'd hand it off, get, say, a 3-yard gain, 3rd and 2 is a lot more makeable.
Right. He has missed the last 4 passing attempts, Klosterman has. He's 4 of 11 today for 50 yards. 3rd down and 6. As the rain begins to come down in earnest. Larson bottled up and then escapes. Gets the 1st down, but there's a flag down back at the 11-yard line, so hold up.
That's the operative word. Hold up is right. One of the offensive linemen held up somebody, and that's going to move back 10 yards. Interesting to see Blaze Larson cut to the outside. He's pretty much somebody who should be inside the tackles. Right here, there's the holding. You can see the grab on, and as a result, that afforded Larson to get to the outside. And you know what's frustrating about that in particular, I think for the offensive lineman there, who I believe it was Max Schneider, is the fact that the play was past him. And you see that all the time. You see that on punt returns. You know, a guy gets hit, blocked in the back about 10 yards downfield.
3rd and 16 now, back at the 21-yard line. Larson again in the backfield. Klosterman, incomplete, intended for Graf, and it'll be 4th down. And in comes the field goal unit for North Dakota.
What has happened as a result of Mustard dropping that ball, he doesn't necessarily trust his tight ends as he did before. Watch the middle of the field right here on the outside, rather. Watch the outside, both Mustard and Kivik. You're going to see, look at that, wide open. Wow. Wide open in the middle of the field. He could have had him, but again, he only had eyes for Graf in that instance.
Paterka in for another field goal attempt. He is 1 of 2 today. This one coming from 38 yards out.
I think somebody got a piece of that, Mark.
May have.
That was weird.
Comes up short on such a short attempt for him anyway from 38.
I've never seen a ball get hit.
Might have hit it a little fat like a golf club.
No, it looked that way. It looked like it. Let's see now watch the trajectory of the ball and see if anybody gets a piece of this. It looked like, no, he did. He just shanked it. That looks so bizarre, the way that came off his foot. And hence the reason why, as we pointed out, the kid does have a great leg, but he just hasn't been altogether accurate inside the 40.
1 of 3 today. 1st down and 10 now for the Lakers. Wojciechowski in at quarterback, hands it off. And Spearman is tackled at the 24-yard line.
Holy cow. Did they miss that? Spearman had his face mask tugged, and he's looking around for the amber linen, but it didn't come about.
Spearman, the team's leading rusher, 5.5 yards per carry.
See how, watch as he cuts to the inside. Watch his head get pulled back right there. Yank.
Wow.
Ouch. Boy, that's blatant. Ben Dixon, that should have been a 15-yarder. I don't know what the officials were looking at.
2nd down and 7. Fighting Sioux get away with one. Wojciechowski to pass. Incomplete and a flag down near midfield.
Well, they got holding on the other end, and that definitely is not interference, and that's unfortunate. Kirkus is applauding his case, but the referee has holding, so they'll nullify each other, and they'll do it all over again.
And you can see the rain really beginning to come down now. Who do the elements favor, do you think, Todd, if it does at all?
Oh, I think it has to favor North Dakota simply because of the fact that North Dakota is a power-oriented team, whereas Grand Valley is dependent upon being fast. They're a little more finesse-oriented. I think certainly it favors the green and white.
Grand Valley played 2 of their 3 playoff games so far in these kind of conditions in the rain.
Thought it is interesting. The head coach, as you look at Dale Lennon, the rain is coming down. It's a little bit misty outside, and the guy's in short sleeves. You notice that?
On the offense, pass interference. On the defense, they all set. We'll put it down over.
Well, there you go. 2nd down and 7 once again. We're here in Florence, Alabama, under the raindrops. I'm Mark Jones, along with Todd Christensen and Dave Ryan on the banks of the meandering Tennessee River. 2nd down and 7. It's Brady running the option, escapes, and then tackled at the 26. Final Nicky making the tackle on the play.
A lot of green shirts in the backfield, but they didn't get the tackle for loss, which I thought they were going to get, and now they come up with yet another 3rd down conversion. As we see, this is what I was talking about. You mentioned the 16 degrees in Grand Forks. 16 degrees, that's nothing. So it's about 50-some when it's raining. And look, his coaches are all in short sleeves. Big deal.
Tough guys.
Remember, it's the Bud Grant era. Remember how Bud Grant wouldn't let him wear the gloves
That's
and that?
right.
Tough guys.
The first 15 minutes of the 2001 Division II title game are in the books. Brian Kelly's team looking for their first title. They lead 7-3 in Florence, Alabama when we come back.
Looking to save a little time this holiday season? Then go to BestBuy.com. You can find great gift ideas online. Then when you come to the store, you'll know just what to get. Best Buy. This holiday, turn on the fun.
And lo, he begetteth the fishes, and he keepeth them in calm waters, hidden from man. And their numbers he did greatly increase. Yet he forbade mankind from crowding the waters. Go ye therefore, and seeketh thy catch in North Dakota, for here shall ye find some righteous fishing.
December 7th, 1941, the United States of America was deliberately attacked by the Empire of Japan.
When President Roosevelt made the announcement, we became a country.
We ran as fast as we could for the trees and the shrubbery.
It was an airy feeling to watch a ship capsize.
A lot of these things about Pearl Harbor people don't know, and they should.
Pearl Harbor. Own it now on DVD and video.
Thanks to the technology inside, you can take Guinness Draft outside. Introducing Guinness Draft in a bottle.
Folks ask me, George, how do you stay in such shape? Well, I'm into physical things now, like snowboarding. On the new Xbox from CompUSA. The graphics are so real. It feels like you're part of the action. Woo! Yeah, baby! Yeah. Three. Woo! Wide load coming through. Whew. I need a nap.
CompUSA, where America buys technology. Now, buy the Xbox at CompUSA and get an airline companion ticket free.
I was afforded the opportunity yesterday to tour the lovely home, the birthplace of Helen Keller in Tuscumbia, Alabama. And the lovely and intelligent Ms. Catherine Sims showed me around as we got a chance to see everything, ranging from where she was taught to where she slept and where she ate, to hear of the stories as to where she developed her speech. What a great opportunity. And you know what, Mark? It's one of the blessings of traveling to college, that we'll be afforded opportunities like that to tour and to learn more about our nation and those wonderful individuals.
And so right, Todd Keller, one of the
First portraits in American courage. First play of the second period, Grand Valley State. Lesniak on the option, out to the 35-yard line. Both these teams on our ESPN game track, as you'll note, making their first ever appearance in the title game. Both teams looking for their first, obviously, national title.
Well, of course, that's what makes it exciting. As we saw early on, Paterka just cannot seem to find the range. He was 1 of 3. But, of course, the lone drive that Grand Valley State had, they were able to get a touchdown as a result of the running of Brady.
First down and 10 now. Lesniak out to the 33-yard line, brought down by Tom Irvin on the play.
Now, maybe I'm being simplistic here, Mark, but it seems to me that when Wojciechowski is in the game, they're more inclined to throw. I think that's a given. And when Brady is in the game, that would seem to me to be the time to jam the 8 and 9 in the box and force him to beat you with the throw.
And the two quarterbacks, there's Brady on the sidelines. Brady more of the, I guess some might say, outwardly confident / cocky type. Second down and 7. Lesniak trying to get to the edge. Brought down for a loss. Flag down back at the 33-yard line.
They're going to call holding in the backfield, and I think this is one where North Dakota is going to refuse and force them to come up with a 3rd and 11. Although, because it was in the backfield, it could be like about a 2nd and 22. But I think that Dale Lennon would be wise to let it go. Here comes the pulling guard, and right in front of the official, which is unwise. You can see right there. You don't want to do that. And the referee's looking at the play, and he's the one that makes the call. Scott Martin is the guilty culprit.
3rd down and 10. Let's go down to Dave.
Mark, the 2-quarterback system very successful for Grand Valley State so far in this game. Ryan Brady was an option quarterback in high school. Led his Chesaning High team in Michigan to a state title in 1998. Guys, he told me last night he played in front of 33,000. Pontiac Silverdome, NFL Stadium. This does not intimidate him at all.
As I mentioned, Dave, yeah, he is more the outwardly confident one. Unintimidated, Wojciechowski puts it on the ground and pounces on the loose ball back to the 26.
Scrambling around in the backfield. Finally, Eric Halverson is the one that catches up with him and strips him of the ball. Good coverage in the secondary by North Dakota, which was a concern for defensive coordinator Kyle Schweigert coming in the game. Now watch as he cuts back against the grain. You can see there's Halverson, strips him of the ball, and it bounces back. And Wojciechowski does the right thing, just fall on it. Don't try and pick up and make a play.
4th down and 19. Williams looking for a better effort on this one than the first one. He got it. He responds in kind. A high spiral. Fair catch called back at the 32-yard line. A 42-yard punt. Graff calling for the fair catch. I'm Mark Jones along with Todd Christensen and Dave Ryan here for the Division II title game between the University of North Dakota and Grand Valley State University. It's 7-3 under the rain, and the lone touchdown of the game scored by quarterback Ryan Brady. And Grand Valley State was on its heels early defensively when North Dakota was running the ball with a lot of success.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And to be candid with you, Mark, here in the second quarter, I know it's early, but I'm surprised it's only 7-3. I really thought there were going to be a lot more points in this game.
Perkarevich on the pitch. Brought down at the 38-yard line. Got about 5 on the play. Clarence Lindsay making the tackle on the play.
You mentioned the fact that not only is the offensive line big but athletic, they go with their version of the counter tray coming around. And 8 of 10 of the first down plays have been runs. And on those plays, each time it's been 4 yards or more. And if the rain continues to fall, that would seem to be the modus operandi.
Got to have a good mutter in the back
of the Fighting Sioux, yeah.
2nd down and 4. Perkarevich with 7 rushing touchdowns on the season. Here he is again, right between the tackles. Anticipated being hit and fell down at the 44-yard line, close to the first down.
Very good point, Mark. That's very astute. He was anticipating getting hit because if he just runs straight up and down as he is in his stance, he might go the distance. Take a look right there. He thinks he's going to get hurt. Oh, man, just got tripped up. Otherwise, 37 might have gone all the way. You might be asking the question if you're at home, how come he hasn't been in every series because he has such a great average per run? The reason is that earlier in the season, he had a high ankle sprain, and he is not 100%. And so that's the reason why they intersperse his playing time with Blaze Larson.
First down and 10. Flags down. They'll get a free one. Here's Perkarevich again across midfield down to the 48-yard line.
I think they're going to stay with the play. Shoot. I'd rather come up 2nd and 2 than 1st and 5. And Perkarevich, boy, he's got some rhythm going. And if you're Perkarevich, so you go over to whoever the captain is and say, no, that's an 8-yard gain. Don't take the penalty. Good for my stats.
We have offsides on the defense. That penalty is declined. We'll play 2nd down.
Let's go to Brian Kenny in the studio.
Mark, back to the 1AA quarterfinals. Number 1 Montana against Sam Houston State. Watch carefully. John Edwards here, the quarterback. Going to get this out to T.J. Okers. And he puts it in the air. A little trickeration to E2 Molden. Touchdown, 21-7 in the second quarter. And this now a final. Furman beats Lehigh. They advance to play Georgia Southern, defending champions.
Right back here, 2nd down and 1, Brian. Nice play fake. He sold it. Grab. Broken up.
That's a great feeling. That is just a great feeling for Darren Smith for a couple of reasons. First of all, he wasn't supposed to start. He wasn't even supposed to start in that game, but Darren Smith is the young man who took the place of Jerome Knox, stride for stride with the top receiver, down the middle of the field with no safety help. Great job.
Smith getting the late start today in place of Jerome Knox. Third down and 1 for North Dakota. Johnson in motion. Flag down, and Perkarevich down with the first down at the 46, but will it stand?
Well, it appeared, I think that North Dakota was steady, so my guess is it'll be offsides again. And either way, they're going to get the first down.
Folks, don't forget Saturday on ESPN2, BYU, the Cougars, will look to keep its undefeated season, Easy Todd, intact in Hawaii and raise its record to 13 and unblemished 13-0. Rainbow receiver Ashley Leslie, Coach June Jones, who has recovered from a near-fatal car crash. What a great story that's been. And the offense of BYU led by Brandon Doman. Trying to recover from the loss of Luke Staley, Todd, who is done for the season. Unfortunately, the Doak Walker with it, too.
Well, it's going to be interesting because my understanding is that Reno Mahe, their great receiver, might have to play some tailback. And so that means that Doman is going to have to show his wares. He's going to have to throw more than usual.
And what a story it would be should BYU win and go to the Liberty Bowl undefeated. Coach Val Hale fielding calls from attorneys across the nation. Perkarevich right between the tackles again. Nice chunk of 4 yards.
Seemed like the same situation, the same play. They just go right up the middle. And again, only an ankle tackle saves him from going the distance. Watch at the point of attack right here. Pushing people down, cuts back against the grain, just barely getting a piece of it. I'll tell you what, that offensive line for North Dakota is really asserting itself early on.
Grand Valley State talked about the need to play good run defense today, so far surrendering 73 yards. The defense was 7th best against the rush in the nation this year. They come with a blitz, and incomplete. Tried to run the screen for Schlussner.
And of course, the screen would have been perfect for the blitz, but Klasserman just couldn't deliver. Good pressure on the part of Grand Valley State. And once again, a third down situation. Up to this point, they're only 1 of 5 on third down conversions.
Brian Kelly's team coming in undefeated on the year, 13-0. They've won 19 consecutive games dating back to last season.
I'm not sure in this situation, Mark, third down and 5, you don't just run the ball. Because I'm thinking in the back of my head, this could be 4-down territory as well as we've been running.
A little motion up front and contact as Knutson got nailed.
Have a dead ball, false start on the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
Let's go downstairs to Dave.
All right, Mark and Todd, thanks a lot. You notice Dale Lennon, the head coach of North Dakota, has a mustache. He's had that on since 1981. Now, He told some players in a guarantee after the team's win over Pittsburgh State of Kansas to begin these NCAA Division II playoffs, if they won the championship, he'd shave off the mustache. We're going to have to hold him to that.
Hey, I'd be checking for the razor and a little shaving cream right now if I were his players.
Foster has been struggling here, Mark. He's missed his last 7.
3rd down and 10. Looking up top. Incomplete. Broken up at the last minute, intended for Smith. And once again, the Lakers secondary coming up with a nice play, closing quickly.
Running at the last minute is Kotelnicki, which is surprising. You don't think of a linebacker, but this is a great throw. It's right on the money. Kotelnicki right at the last minute has his arm in there, but I got to tell you, that's a very catchable ball, Mark. Smith should have had it.
What looked like, Todd, a promising drive for North Dakota ends up in a punt now. Right through his arms.
Couldn't quite hang on to it.
Bentno looking for a better effort than his first one. Going to bounce and be down at the 8-yard line. In a surprisingly, what some would think anyway, low-scoring game. Grand Valley State with just 7 points after averaging over 53 a game on the season. They have the ball when we come back.
One blustery autumn Sunday, 2 warriors hunkered down in the fury of battle.
For the win. Interception.
With one crushing blow, momentum turned. As the stalwart Viking mounted a final aerial assault, the battered warrior could only watch his hopes of victory vanish. And in defeat, learned dignity and grace.
NFL 2K2. Rated E for everyone.
The bow. Resistance becomes strength. Becomes power. The power to change and reshape your entire body. This is Bowflex, an entire gym-in-one easy-to-use machine. So powerful, it delivers over 60 health club quality exercises with up to 410 pounds of resistance in any room in your home. Strength training with Bowflex is so effective that we guarantee you'll get the results you want in 6 weeks or less. One simple workout. 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week. Bowflex is real. The results are real. And you can own one with no money down and payments as low as $33 per month. Call right now for a free video and brochure. Bowflex, the power is yours.
The story of the season for Grand Valley State University, in a word, offense. Those are some very impressive numbers offensively. #1 in the nation in total offense and points per game time.
It is impressive, and these are the regular season statistics. This does not include the playoffs, but again, that just goes to show how strong North Dakota's defense has been. As you can see the numbers put up there, particularly that rushing one. That is a key defensive stat in any division.
Speaking of rushing, Brady, the quarterback, running the ball out to the 13-yard line, getting about 4. Let's go to Brian Kenny in the studio.
Mark, more in the 1AA quarterfinals here, Maine and Northern Iowa. First, Griffith Juergens scrambling, got himself some room, gets it to Ben Sanderson here for Northern Iowa. 57 yards on that pickup. Sets this up for 5'4" Richard Carter. He goes into the end zone. Northern Iowa leads Maine 14-7.
All right, Brian, on 2nd down and 4. This is the worst starting field position of the day for Grand Valley State. And a little shuffle pass and nowhere to go inside.
Fooled no one. You mentioned the field position, Mark. Up to this point, Grand Valley State has been averaging their own 21, whereas North Dakota has been averaging their own 41. And of course, we see once again the great defense that North Dakota has put up. And if they could stuff Grand Valley here on this 3rd down play, once again, they'd have great field position.
3rd down and 4 for Grand Valley State. The Lakers with the lead, 7-3. Lesniak on the fly. And I mean on the fly. Lesniak turning it loose with a 1st down out to the 41.
Well, again, it was commented to us that this was their quick guy as opposed to Spearman. And coming into this game, Lesniak had been averaging 7.5 yards per carry. And he is their speedster. Cuts to the inside, does a great job coming off the tight end's block, and as you pointed out, now he heads to the outside. And really it was a touchdown-saving tackle on the part of Adam Stratton to get him out of bounds there at the 40. And just as important, Mark, especially in a game now where points would seem to be at a premium, got him out of some bad field position.
So did out to the 41. Wojciechowski underthrown and almost intercepted.
Hey, did you see the kip at the end? That was pretty cool. I like it.
It's Banks. The intended receiver, Todd.
Well, remember, Mike O'Neill had an interception earlier, and this ball is underthrown. He gives it all he has to get it down the field. Take a look. O'Neill goes up. Banks does a nice job really playing defender at this point and making sure the kick almost at the end. Now, check this out. Bam! I like it. You know what?
Now spin on your head.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Second down and 10.
It must be fun to be young and resilient.
Yeah, way back when. Second down and 10. Brady keeps it out to the 45-yard line. It'll be third down at about 6 to go. Have to wonder how unsettling, if at all, for the two different quarterbacks to rotate in on every other play seemingly at this point.
Well, again, you've got a situation where your star is out. That's all there is to it. You don't have your guy. You don't know who you're used to. I'm not a fan of the two quarterback system, but again, they're in the championship game, so you got to give them their due. And on third down, seem to have gone fairly well for them. They're 4 of 6 on third down conversion.
Got to give Coach Kelly credit for that.
Here's a situation to where Eric Schmidt, their star player, misses the opportunity for a sack in the backfield. He has him in his grasp, number 40 for North Dakota. Take a look. Here he comes on the blitz. He's got him. He's got him. He can't make the play. And as a result, Brady cuts back against the grain. You got people with their back turned anticipating a pass. Finally, at the end, he is dragged down by O'Neill. But once again, a big third down conversion for the Lakers. Spearman obviously has to have some fresh legs because Lesniak has been the guy over the last quarter and a half. And as we pointed out, Spearman over the last 2 games has averaged over 100 yards per game in the last 2 playoff contests.
Second down and 2.
Stanford reverse.
Banks. Still on his feet.
Oh, my gosh.
What a tremendously athletic play, and he got the first down. Absorbed the hit, Todd.
I'm sitting here waiting to tell you what a great open field tackle that was by Riendo, and instead the guy's still on his feet. I thought he'd taken his legs out, and it sounded, you know, by the crowd's reaction, you thought the same thing. Stanford reverse, where the receiver comes around, cuts in front of the back. He has to take a little bit of a detour. Now watch Riendo. Bam, nice hit. He's down. He isn't? Remember that play a couple of years ago with Randall Cunningham? Exactly. Remember that? Was that what you were thinking about?
Yep.
Same thing. When Banks came in and knocked Carl Banks, knocked him seemingly on his butt, and he got up and threw the ball to Jackie, just one point in his last name. We'll get it. Great tight end for Tampa Bay.
Wojciechowski in the ball game. But Grand Valley State uses its first time out in the shadows of the goal line of North Dakota. Brian Kelly, the coach, looking to press the right button. They lead 7-3 when we come back.
I'm the last of a dying breed, keeping birds off the runway so basically they can come back tomorrow.
So stressful.
Imagine not knowing if you'll be replaced by a falcon.
A falcon.
I burn and mix my own CDs to listen to while I'm out here. It's nice. Save some birds, drive around, good music. I love this job.
There's only one way to burn, with the best-selling CD burning software in the world, Easy CD Creator 5 from Roxio.
Welcome to the annual ESPN the Magazine Sports Mascot Picnic. Every year, pro and college mascots come from all over to talk about how much they love ESPN the Magazine and show off their free fleece pullovers. You know more mascots subscribe to ESPN the magazine than any other sports magazine in the world? Hey, here's the college guys. Fellas, who's your ESPN the magazine favorite? They're so into Dick Vitale. And every new subscriber gets this ESPN the magazine fleece pullover absolutely free. These high-quality fleece pullovers are extra large and roomy. Fits all shapes and sizes, from devils to penguins.
Subscribe now. Get 26 issues, 1 year for just $1 an issue. That's 71% off the newsstand price.
Hey, if you're a sports mascot or simply a regular human who loves sports, pick up the phone and call for ESPN the magazine and your free fleece pullover.
1-888-ESPN-MAG.
The Lakers over the Fighting Sioux 7-3 with 6:47 to play in the first half. I'm Mark Jones along with Todd Christensen and Dave Ryan, and so far, well, the trend of being broken in a big way right now, Todd.
Yeah, that goes without saying.
As far as scoring goes.
If you would have told me this is going to be a defensive struggle, I'd have told you you're nuts.
First and 10, Wojciechowski in a quarterback. Looks one way and picked off. And this could be trouble for Grand Valley State. Mike O'Neill, the free safety, making the interception. His second of the game.
There has to be a miscommunication here because he threw the ball right to it. I think that what he was anticipating was either a slant or a hitch. I mean, this is just right to O'Neill. It's a quick throw, 3-step. Now he's waiting, and there's O'Neill in front of you right there. Is he going to sit down on the ball? He doesn't. I mean, O'Neill's just waiting on it. And frankly, I'm surprised he didn't go the distance. Watch the left of your screen. There's nothing but green shirts here. Nothing but green shirts.
First down and 10, coming back the other way near midfield at the 49 for the University of North Dakota. Perkarevich stopped up after a gain of about 1.
And that's one of the few times today that we have seen Perkarevich get stuffed, as we see on the sidelines. They're very unhappy.
Brian Kelly said that Wojo had a very good week of practice, Todd. Picked up a lot of the intricacies and other things of the offense, and you see him being comforted right there, and said that, you know, I might get to a point where I feel comfortable with starting him, and he eventually did.
But once again, you know, he is a redshirt freshman, and he hasn't played at all this year, except in a mop-up role, so it's a tough pill to swallow.
Osterman keeps it himself, and he is rocked at the 44-yard line.
That's an interesting call.
In what sense?
Well, from this vantage point, and that is they're getting a little bit predictable in being in between the tackles and some of their plays. This time they decide, you know what, we're just going to go student body left, get my runners out in front of me and see what we can get. Remember, Klosterman got dinged last week against UC Davis. Dinged so much that he just couldn't throw in the fourth quarter. So really, they're taking a chance here with him.
Actually came to the sidelines in that contest and told the coaches that, hey, I'm not comfortable putting it in the air. We better keep it on the ground. They are 1 of 6 in third down situations. 3rd and 3. Perkarevich got the first down to the 39-yard line. And folks, don't forget tonight, the 2001 Heisman Trophy winner will be announced on ESPN, presented by Wednesdays at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Dorsey, Harrington, Crouch, Grossman. Who do you like, Todd?
Randall L.
He's my man, too. Frankly, that's my pick.
But out of the 4 people that are there, my guess, I'd say Crouch. If you don't have a great individual year, I think it should be a career thing, and I think his career has been unbelievable. 35 and 6 as a starter speaks volumes.
It does, and big inspiration for his whole team. A flag on the play, and it came late after the whistle.
You know, it just goes to show how powerful that offensive line is. When was the last time you saw a quarterback sneak go for 4.5 yards?
Clarence Lindsay was the player that came in a little bit late for Grand Valley State.
I've always been interested in that when the official makes that call. He does the personal foul and he comes over, do you want to accept it or not? Is that a no-brainer? He just went to the captain.
Hit after the whistle, 15-yard penalty, first down.
I guess my point is, when have you ever seen, we're not interested, we refuse.
It's okay. I like them putting that knot on my head.
Yeah, forgive and forget. I'll turn the other way.
First down and 10. Nose of the ball at the 20-yard line. This drive set up by an interception by O'Neal. He's combining for 8 penalties today. Here's the same play coming the other way. Klosterman, pretty good runner down to the 12-yard line.
But I'm telling you, this offensive line is getting out front and hitting some people. The guards are pulling and the tackles are hooking people. They're just doing a very good job. Take a look at the pull here. You get a chance to see coming out front. Right tackle, that's number 78. That's Mike Bryant out front. Does a nice job of blocking. Seals the corner, and there's Perkarevich, who's also out front, putting down a pretty good block for Kloster.
Big guys move pretty well, Todd, up front. Right?
Not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Second down and 1 for the Fighting Sioux. Graf in motion. Perkarevich, nice tackle. Number 4, Terry Foster, brought him down right at the line of scrimmage.
Terry Foster, 11 tackles last week against Catawba. Here's an outside linebacker who's 5'11" and 185 pounds. But he has 2 children. Want to say hello to them, Sheree and Terrence. If you're at home watching Pop, he's having a pretty good game.
Doing his thing with a nice tackle on that play.
And that's a bad decision on the part of Perkarevich. He's got to stay with his friends. Don't cut to the outside and get away from the blockers who've been so good up to this point.
3rd down and 2.
That's got to be motion. And the boy, is that costly for North Dakota. Their offensive line going so well, and both the tailback and the wide receiver are leaning forward, and Dale Lennon knows it.
Got a dead ball, false start on the offense, 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
9th penalty of the day between both teams.
Take a look at the bottom of your screen. I mean, you can't quite see the tailback just leaning just a little bit, getting off a little too quick. And really, there's no excuse for Graf in that situation, Mark, because it's a running play. You don't have to be in a big hurry to get downfield there, especially for a play going between the tackles.
Puts them back into a 3rd and 7. Approaching 3 minutes to play in the first half. Klosterman brought down for another loss back at the 19-yard line, and it's 4th down and long for North Dakota.
Dan Hosford is the one who gets in first, and again, they're going to try a field goal. And this has to be frustrating for the offense. And even if he does make the kick, Mark, it's frustrating because time and time again, Grand Valley State has been outstanding on 3rd down and stuffing.
What's interesting, coming into the game, all the talk was about the running game of North Dakota and the big offense of Grand Valley State. So far, the story of the game has been the Grand Valley State defense. He's 1 of 3 today, and in the red zone, it hasn't happened. And he hooks another one. Paterka hooks another one. Came into the game 23 of 35 with a long of 59, but his head coach right now, Dale Lennon, trying to figure out exactly what has gone awry with his place kicker. We'll be back in a minute.
It is my pleasure to represent 90,000 alumni and friends of the University of North Dakota in congratulating the Fighting Sioux football team on their first trip to the National Division II Championship Game. The Alumni Association is proud to be a sponsor of this broadcast, and we wish Coach Dale Lennon, his assistant coaches, and our outstanding athletes the very best in their quest for a national title. Go Sioux!
Problems can make everyday living a challenge. The North Dakota Association for the Disabled makes it easier. Last year, NDAD provided well over $1 million in client assistance, such as medical expense assistance to organ transplant candidates and recipients, medical supplies, medical equipment, attendant care, and so much more.
No way I could get a transplant without NDAD.
If you would like more information, call NDAD at 1-800-532-NDAD.
Every great collegian dreams of the most famous trophy in sports, but only one will be permanently linked to its enduring legacy. This year, the contenders have emerged with equal force and stand poised on the cusp of history. Who will be selected to walk among legends? The 2001 Heisman Trophy presentation, presented by Wendy's, tonight at 7 on ESPN.
Cameron Paterka, the great kicker for North Dakota, is not having a great day. Take a look at his face once he kicks it. He knows that he's hooked it. See the reaction? Nuts. Now, at the end of this makes no sense. You know, he starts to get a little trash talking from Clarence Lindsay, and look at this. Look at this. He pats him on the shoulder. And now, I'm not saying that you have to go in and punch the guy or push him, but you know what? You don't want to take that. As you pointed out, reminded the old Super Bowl 10, I think it was. You know, the old Roy Gorilla and Cliff Harris thing. Yeah.
Before Jack Lambert came in and slammed him to the turf.
Yep.
Ryan Brady at quarterback. First down and 10. Spearman the lone back beside him. 2:20 to play in the first half. Spearman.
Go, Red.
Spearman with a first down out to the 35-yard line, tackled by Riondo.
Just as we talked about the offensive line for North Dakota, Grand Valley creates a nice gap there for Spearman, particularly on the right side. Martin and Wilford are able to get some people off. Of course, now because of the effectiveness of the running of the quarterback, what that does to you up front is now you're a little bit hesitant just to chase after somebody else other than the quarterback.
First down and 10. Brady getting the call from the sidelines. Kelly with a couple of shields to hide the call on the sidelines as well.
An option.
Keeps it himself and brought down at the 36.
Frankly, I'm surprised that Brady is in at this point for this reason. If they are going to run their 2-minute offense, it would seem to me, Mark, that you'd want to have your thrower in there.
Interesting. There's the thrower, Wojciechowski. Brady, meanwhile, a guy who is directing the offense now in the first quarter.
Well, they actually got a break there, Mark, because they changed footballs and the clock stopped at 1:52, and clearly the clock should have been running, and I think this is the discussion that they're going to have right now, is the clock should have been running at that point in time, and it was not. A big advantage for the Lakers if indeed they let it stand.
And Todd, always an issue when it comes to no-huddle teams. You see them, they want to get the ball in play quickly, get the official.
Set the clock to 1:34.
Yeah.
They want the official to place it on the ground within what, 18 seconds or so, and get going, rev it up.
Northwestern, of course, are the ones that are making this famous right now with this no huddle that they do in the Big Ten. Very similar to the offense that Grand Valley State runs.
Terrence Banks split wide to the bottom of your screen on 2nd down and 9. He goes towards Perkis, and it's incomplete, underthrown.
Every ball that Brady has thrown has been underthrown up to this point, Mark.
Let's go downstairs today for more on Brady.
Just an amazing story on Ryan Brady, guys. He was a 1998 star quarterback, as we said, at Chesaning High School in Michigan, and had not taken a snap at quarterback since then. He was a walk-on at Ohio University, left that school to try to play at Division II. He says he's always been a quarterback at heart, though, and paid attention very closely to what Kurt Ames and Todd Wojciechowski were doing in the quarterback meetings and during practice. In case something came up, he would be ready to go. He feels very comfortable in this role. He'd rather be a quarterback than a receiver, guys.
Well, he's the man in charge of the offense now on 3rd and 9. Flag down on the far side of the field.
Now they're going to get a free play because North Dakota started a little bit too quickly.
The game's got a real funky rhythm to it, Todd. A lot of penalties, I think.
It does, but this is particularly frustrating for North Dakota, this offside penalty, for this reason, that finally on 3rd down they had stopped them. Watch the top of your screen. Right here at the top. Watch the takeoff. Eric Schmidt got a little bit too much of a head start, and as a result, they're going to come back 3rd and 4.
They are 5 of 7 on 3rd down today.
Had kind of a false start there, right?
Yeah. Want to come out and blocks the throw. I'm Mark Jones along with Todd Christensen and Dave Ryan here at Brawley Stadium in Florence, Alabama. The Division II title at stake. Grand Valley State's Brady, the quarterback, sacked behind the line of scrimmage by Ben Dixon.
Well, Dixon drops him. Now the decision is with North Dakota as to whether or not they'll be content to let it go, and it appears they're not. They're going to call timeout and give themselves a chance.
North Dakota in the familiar position of playing in a low-scoring game like they did last week against UC Davis, winning 14-2. We'll be back in just a minute.
I think do-it-yourself is very much an attitude.
It's just such an American tradition.
It's
you want to figure out if you can do something with your own two hands, whether it's a repair or a rebuild. There's a lot of folks that will do this because they get enjoyment out of it. The sense of satisfaction at the end of having done it at home, done it ourselves. That's something that's wonderful and it's very American. The biggest challenge for any do-it-yourselfer is having the right tools. The Craftsman tool department is really the place to go for the value and warranty.
1,800 Craftsman hand tools, all made in America, guaranteed forever. Find what you need in this free catalog.
I always think that good tools are the key to a job well done.
It's the most wonderful week of the year. There'll be tailgater hostings, kielbasa's for roastings with people you don't even know. There'll be Hail Mary stories and tales of the glories of bowl games from long, long ago. It's the most wonderful week.
Capital One Bowl Week begins December 27th on ESPN and ESPN2.
Fourth down for Grand Valley State. The Lakers set to punt. Kevin Sontag in. And don't forget, coming up at Sports Center in game, that's coming up next at halftime, Jeff Van Gundy storming out of practice yesterday, resigning today. College hoops scores and highlights and a Heisman preview.
You didn't say who you wanted in the Heisman, or you predicted.
I'll tell you before we're done here. It might shock you a little bit.
Bad kick.
Another one.
I mean,
Shanked.
really bad. This is not what the doctor ordered for this reason, not just because it was a bad kick and it sets him up at the 43-yard. Again, the snap was a little bit low, but punters are used to that. Look at the ball. The ball actually floated on him. He ended up kicking it kind of banana style. But not only that, because the shank punt goes out of bounds. Look at that, only 6 seconds came off the clock. Plenty of time to get into field goal range, especially this guy's field goal range.
Yeah, just a 19-yard effort. First down and 10. A 4-receiver formation for the first time today. Graff in motion. Fosterman sacked back at the 34-yard line by Shad Risk.
Shad Risk is their guy. That's the guy that comes in and makes plays. Coming into the game, a dozen sacks, 20 tackles for loss. 6'1", 255-pounder with the great lateral movement. I shared an elevator with him, by the way. But he's not that
He used
tall.
most of it, huh? Second down and 19. Complete at midfield to number 84, Jesse Allers. And you would think, as you mentioned, how tough is it to get into the passing game at this point?
Well, one of the things is that if you concentrate so wholly, as North Dakota has, on the running game, the rhythm of Klosterman isn't there, but you couldn't tell by that throw. Deep comeback, he put that one right on the money. And let's not forget, we mentioned this earlier, Paterka has kicked one from 59 yards, so another first down, and they have a shot at it.
Chance maybe for redemption for him. He's just 1 of 4 today in his field goal attempts. Third down and 3 from midfield. Fosterman with plenty of time. And an open field tackle at the 40.
Gonna have to call timeout right now.
By Foster with 2 seconds remaining, and with no discernible wind down on the field. I'm not sure that he can make it from this far out.
No, you're right.
We'll take a break and be right back.
Good sportsmanship is the result of being taught the right way to deal with life.
By your family, by your coaches, and by your team.
NCAA football prepared me for life in so many different ways.
We work together to accomplish our goals.
NCAA football. Pass it on.
The Lakers leading 7-3 with 2 seconds remaining in the first half.
What appeared to cost him, and of course you have to be cognizant of the time, and he was, but he has Pekarowicz downfield in the middle, and instead he runs to the outside. Now watch, here's your blocker, turn around, now run with your blocker. Instead he cuts back to the outside, gets nailed there. If he follows Pekarowicz, he might be in field goal range right now, Mark. Instead, as you point out, because of the conditions in the rain, this is going to be either a Hail Mary or a hook and lateral or something like that.
We added it up to 62 yards, did we?
Yeah, that's the distance.
First down and 10, but clock at issue. You kick it or you throw it up? He's got the quarterback in there still.
Well, here's part of the problem, and I did a game. Last year, I remember I did an overtime game with Wisconsin and Purdue. And Wisconsin decided, oh, I'll shoot, we might as well try the field goal. It was about a 60-yarder. And, of course, because of the low trajectory, Purdue comes in, blocks the field goal, runs it back for a touchdown. So why would you want to do that here? Give it a shot. We've seen it a million times this year, the Hail Mary come through, so why not try it?
We were talking earlier about some of the Heisman Trophy candidates. Randall L., one of your picks. I'm going to go, and you'll see the presentation tonight on ESPN, by the way. Bryant McKinney. He would be my pick, and here's why. Has not allowed a sack in his entire career at the University of Miami, allowing Ken Dorsey to throw that ball all day. Right. He held Dwight Freeney, the NCAA's all-time sack leader, to not a single tackle in their game. Little love for the offensive line.
Interesting.
First down and 10. Osterman into the end zone, throwing it Graf's way. And it's batted down. And that play symbolic of one of the themes of the first half here. The Laker defense.
Phil Condon, the tight end, is the one that batted it down.
Let's go downstairs to Dave.
All right, Mark, thanks. Coach Kelly, you said during the week that your team losing Kurt Anus, and how difficult that would be, kind of like blowing a tire, not an engine. The two-headed quarterback system works well for you. Why did it work so well in the first half?
Well, obviously we've got to pick our spots with it and find some things that we can do effectively. We're probing, trying to find some things that we can get. North Dakota's a heck of a football team. We had a good first half and finding some things. I think we can make a couple more things work for us in the second half.
They're a larger team. They want to be more physical with you in the second half. How do you avoid that?
Well, we can't. That's what they're going to do. They're going to keep coming after us, but our kids are resilient. They'll keep playing hard, and we want to be close going into the fourth quarter. We think if we're close with them, we got some things that we can do to win this football game.
30 minutes in the first ever national title, guys.
Thank you.
All right, it is 7-3 at halftime. You know what? We expected Brian Kenny, a lot of fast dancing at the club, but instead, it's been slow bump and grind so far. Back to you in the studio.
Mark, thank you very much. I've been saying 60 points a game. We're not getting to 60 points a game here, Rodney.
If I'm North Dakota, I'm feeling pretty good about where I'm at right now. Defense really shutting down this high-powered offense.
Rodney and I going over the 1AA playoffs. When we come back here, Sports Center in-game, we've got very interesting basketball game with Illinois and Arkansas, and the Heisman report as well. Chris, Lee, and Kirk are in New York City for the presentation.
Christmas is mostly about giving.
The program is called Shop with the Cop.
We bring Christmas to kids who wouldn't have it otherwise.
You like this one right up here?
You get to go shopping at Walmart with a policeman and a fireman. I want to buy something for my mom.
We take them to Walmart because the money goes a long ways.
They all have these little lists. I'm going to get John something and Mary something.
Dad!
You like that?
You have to make sure the kids buy themselves at least one thing.
Get her these two.
They will spend it on their families, their brothers and sisters. Very hard to get them to spend it on themselves.
That's what Christmas is all about.
I wanna be like Buddy Lee and help out everyone I see. I'd help my neighbors with Tai Chi like Buddy Lee. But if I had any sense in me, I would not be Buddy Lee. Lee Dungarees can't bust 'em.
Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow, till you find your...
Now get any Yamaha ATV for just $1 a day during Yamaha All-Terrain Value Days.
Welcome to Sports Center in-game.
I'm Brian Kenny here with you at the half. Rodney Gilmore will join me in just a moment. Let's start with some college basketball. It came down to a controversial last-second call and then almost a make-good on the clock. Take a look. Arkansas and Illinois. Nolan Richardson going for his 500th career win. And Arkansas with a 9-point lead here. Gennaro Pargo with the 3. Caps off a 10-0 run to open the second half for the Razorbacks. The Illini, though, fighting back, down by 3. Corey Bradford puts his own shot back up, makes it a 1-point game. Bradford only had 11 points in this game, but here, giving the Fighting Illini their first lead of the game. Arkansas, though, no, not done yet. They'd answer back. Gennaro Pargo from 3, puts this up, knocks it down, a 1-point game. Less than 30 seconds to go. Less than 20 to go here. The Illini with the ball. Look at this give and go, beautifully done. Damir Krapelia, he had it in. Arkansas next possession. Look at this call. Brandon Dean goes up. Offensive foul. Oh, Rodney.
Oh, home cooking. You can't make a call like that with the game on the line.
What was interesting there is they had 2 seconds left as Dean went up. They gave Nolan Richardson 5.5 back on the clock, but they had another shot at it, but it wouldn't go. And Illinois does win it 94-91. Brandon Dean called for an offensive player control foul on that drive. So Illinois gets the win 94-91. Illinois with 22 turnovers in the game. To Duke and Michigan, number 1, taking on one of their former sons. Tommy Amaker there, facing his old coach, Coach K. Coach K with the number 1 team in the land. Dante Jones from Jason Williams at 7-zip to start it off. Mike Dunleavy. This is not how you wanted to start the game for Michigan. Throwing that down, it's 9-zip. Duke up 25-4. Ooh, ooh. Shed. Daniel Ewing from Williams, 27-4 to be 72-45. This is 85-50. That looks like the dogs have been called off. Back at that. 27-4 at one point to open up this game for number 1 Duke. A little mercy for one of his old boys.
Oh, the mentor teaching.
Yes. Fordham and Marquette right now. Marquette with the lead, 56-43. 21st in the nation. It's the highest ranking for Marquette since 1983. And the big news of the day, Jeff Van Gundy, 13 years with the New York Knicks as an assistant coach and then 6 years as a head coach, resigning as the head coach of the New York Knicks abruptly a day after he ended practice early because he thought his players were lacking intensity. At the news conference this afternoon, Van Gundy said, "I didn't feel my focus was at its best. It's time to stop back and let the team move on." He says he wants to spend more time with his family. He has a daughter and a wife. Mark Jackson of the Knicks said, "We're all shocked. I didn't see this coming at all." Nick Brass stunned by Van Gundy's resignation as well. Back to college football now. The 1AA quarterfinals underway. We've been showing you some highlights throughout the afternoon. Lehigh, one of the most exciting comebacks of the entire college football season last week. That was against Hofstra, taking on Furman. There's the Walter Payton winner. You saw him there, Lewis Ivory, missing the game with a sprained knee early on. Furman leading 3-0. Mike Sutton of Lehigh taking this back 45 yards, getting some good position here. Sets this up later on in the drive. Justin Barrasso going through. Lehigh taking a 7-3 lead. Brian Bratton, though, for Furman with an answer.
Oh, you got to be sound in the kicking game, but watch Bratton here. He'll get 65 yards on this thing right here. Finally knocked out of bounds. It's going to lead to a score for them. He's the leading kick returner in Division 1AA.
On the next play, Furman's Tarico O'Neal, 35 yards for the touchdown, going all the way in, and Furman opens this up. Lehigh had been to the quarterfinals twice before, and now would be 0-3. Tarico O'Neal again, and Lehigh's perfect season comes to an end. Furman takes it 34-17. Furman has won back-to-back home playoff games, first time since '89, first semifinal appearance since 1989. And you see there, advancing to play Georgia Southern, the defending champions, beating Appalachian State. Tough game, Rodney, 38-24. Adrian Peterson got his yards.
Yeah, but he banged up his shoulder a little bit, but he looks like he will be ready to play next week.
They are the defending national champions, two-time defending national champions, Georgia Southern. Montana's the #1 seed, though, leading Sam Houston State 35-10.
And it was all about their defense. A lot of blitzing, aggressive play. They had their secondary involved in stopping the run. An extremely talented defense for Montana.
Also in the 1AA quarterfinals, Maine and Northern Iowa tied up now 14-14, that game in the second quarter. Here's the bracket now to let you know where everybody is. The winner of Montana and Sam Houston State will face the Maine Northern Iowa winner. And again, in the 1AA semis, one bracket all set up. The two-time defending national champions, Georgia Southern, taking on Furman in that bracket. We are at the half. in the Division II National Championship. Grand Valley State. Well, they got enough points to have the lead anyway, 7-3 at the half. We're back. Chris Lee and Kirk dropping in after this.
She'll definitely show. Just do it. I'm going to make a collect call.
1-800-COLLECT presents Ava Save-A-Lot. Told you.
Careful how you dial, boys.
Ava, we always use 1-800-COLLECT.
Then you already know it saves at least $1 or $2.
Of course. It's so easy.
Thought you had a call to make.
Talk about saving some dough.
1-800-COLLECT. Save $1 or $2.
If you're serious about your education, think Grand Valley State University.
It's an exciting place to work. It's an exciting place to come to school. It's an exciting place to learn.
We're focused on undergraduate academics and dedicated to individual student achievement.
The professors are very one-on-one with you. They're very accessible. They're very personable.
With that personal attention and our state-of-the-art facilities, it's no wonder Newsweek calls Grand Valley the best educational value in Michigan. Visit us and see. Experience Grand Valley State University.
Hi everybody, this is Tim McGraw for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. You know, I spend a lot of time on the road and I see some funny things out there, but one thing that's not so funny is someone who's about to drive drunk. So take the keys and be a friend, because friends don't let friends drive drunk.
Sports Center in game here at the half. Grand Valley State leading North Dakota 7-3 as we move along to 1A college football. Who do you like? Rex Grossman, Joey Harrington, Eric Crouch, Ken Dorsey is expected to be a very close vote, one of the closest votes in recent memory in the Heisman Trophy. Because of the attacks on the southern end of Manhattan, the downtown athletic club is closed. So Chris Lee and Kirk have this report right now on the Heisman Trophy from the Marriott Marquis in Manhattan. Gentlemen?
Well, Times Square, New York City has become Heisman Trophy Central. There is rare suspense here because the awards leading up to this Heisman have been divvied up among the great quarterbacks and the 4 finalists right here. Eric Crouch in Nebraska, Walter Camp, Player of the Year. That's very often a predictor of the Heisman. Wasn't last year, though, when Josh Heupel won it. He also wins the O'Brien Award for quarterbacks. Ken Dorsey, not even a finalist for that award, wins the Maxwell Award for the best overall player, and that's they kind of go their own way. Rex Grossman, AP Player of the Year. Unitas Award goes to David Carr of Fresno State, so there's no clue. We know the ballots came in very, very late. We expect a real close vote.
Typically, when you get ready for the Heisman Trophy, you always know it's either going to be this guy or it's going to be this guy. This is the first year I can ever remember that the 4 finalists, you can actually sit down and make a case for all 4 guys. So when they open up the envelope, who knows what's going to happen?
Well, I think what's going to happen is this. I think it's so close that the guy that overwhelmingly carries his region, plus wins the southwestern part of the nation, will win it, because that's the one area that doesn't have a representative.
These are team guys, very unselfish, very proud of the fact that their combined win-loss record this season is 41-4. Guy with the best win-loss record, of course, is Ken Dorsey.
Well, Ken Dorsey, that's his best attribute as a starting quarterback. Number one, he starts for the #1 team in the country. He's undefeated this year. But as a career, he's 25-1 as a starting quarterback. So forget about touchdowns, forget about interceptions. When you're 25-1 as a starter, you're getting it done.
There's numbers and there's intangibles. Being a clutch player and a master of the drama, we're talking about Joey Harrington.
Joey Harrington, 3 fourth-quarter drives to win for the Ducks this year. He did it 9 times in his career. The things that hurts Joey Harrington the most, played on the West Coast. Didn't see him on TV very much.
Eric Crouch, he did lose his last game in big fashion to Colorado, but he had amazing numbers rushing and passing. It's a rare option-type quarterback that's been able to even contend for this award. Tommy Frazier was second a little while ago.
You mentioned the passing, and I think that's the aspect of his game he improved the most this year. Able to get over 1,000 yards running and throwing, and let's face it, he was the Nebraska offense this year. Without Eric Crouch, Nebraska doesn't have nearly the production that they had this year. He's been a great winner.
Rex Grossman, meanwhile, Danny Werfel-type numbers, but he's a sophomore. No sophomore's ever won it. That's a knock against him in the minds of some voters.
Rex Grossman, by stats alone, I think deserves the Heisman. But I don't think he's going to win it, because I think he lost it in the 4th quarter when he didn't beat Tennessee and throw that 2-point play and then win that ballgame. I think with 2 losses, I don't think Grossman's going to win it.
You can make a case for any of these 4, as Kirk said, plus David Carr, Antoine Randall of Indiana, maybe even a defensive player. But it's going to go to a quarterback at the Marriott Marquis Saturday night. We'll hope you'll join us for the Heisman Trophy presentation.
Gentlemen, thank you. Rodney Gilmore back here with me now. And a lot of times the United Camp Award, that's like for the aficionados out there paying attention. This is like the mainstream vote. What do you think?
Well, I think the fact that you had so many votes held until the end of this thing, that last weekend, none of the players stepped up and took the award. So I think a lot of folks probably fell back to Eric Crouch after that. I think he will probably win it. It's going to be a close vote. I would have liked to have seen them bring a fifth guy there, probably Randall L. or Roy Williams, because it's such a close year. I think it would have been a nice thing to do.
You're thinking Roy Williams all year. You were going to like Roy Williams, get a defensive guy in there and bring him in. But you can see it here tonight, 7 Eastern time. The Heisman Trophy Award will be presented here on ESPN, 7 Eastern time this evening. Again, a four-way. These are the top 4 vote getters. They went with the top 4. Rex Grossman, Joey Harrington, Eric Crouch, or Ken Dorsey. Again, 7 Eastern time here. From Manhattan, Chris Lee and Kirk will be your hosts. Here in the Division II National Championship game, it's 7-3 Grand Valley State. We're back after this.
Problems can make everyday living a challenge. The North Dakota Association for the Disabled makes it easier. Last year, NDAD provided well over $1 million in client assistance, such as medical expense assistance to organ transplant candidates and recipients, medical supplies, medical equipment, attendant care, and so much more.
No way I could get a transplant without NDAD.
If you would like more information, call NDAD at 1-800-532-NDAD.
The University of North Dakota has a rich history of retaining and graduating American Indian students. UND offers 26 American Indian programs, more than any other higher education institution in the U.S. The support services provided by Native American programs enhance student success. Native American programs offer tutoring, academic advising, and financial aid assistance, which makes UND a leader in Indian education. For more information, call 1-800-CALL-UND.
There is a finish, and in the journey between, there are dreams. The NCAA Hall of Champions keeps these dreams alive for you. More than a museum, the NCAA Hall of Champions takes you on an interactive journey. Relive some of the most inspirational moments in collegiate sports history and walk in the steps of a student athlete. At the NCAA Hall of Champions, you'll find something for every fan. Discover what it means to be a champion. The journey begins inside.
Division II National Championship. We're at the half, 7-3. Grand Valley State leading North Dakota. In Division III football, they are now down to the finalists. Mount Union will try to make it 5 in 6 years, beating St. John's of Minnesota 35-14.
Yeah, Chuck Moore, running back, leads that team, and the Purple Raiders are fantastic to watch.
Chuck Moore, 233 yards. He's the Gagliardi Award winner. John Gagliardi was the coach for the other team, St. John's of Minnesota. Bridgewater over Rowan of New Jersey, 29-24. In overtime, Bridgewater will make their first ever championship game appearance.
And the Profs have been in the hunt almost every year. They've been knocked out now for the first time in a while. Shocking.
You can see this game, the Amos Alonzo Stag Bowl, next week right here on ESPN, the Division III National Championship game. We're at the half. We're coming back after this.
Why do I like holiday shopping at Office Depot for my friends and family? Because they have a shipping center right in the store. So I can choose any of their great gifts, wrap and pack them, and Office Depot sends them anywhere in the world. That means I can get just the right thing for everyone on my list.
It's empty.
Office Depot, proud sponsor of the 2002 U.S. Olympic team.
They said he'd never make it, that he was too small, too inexperienced, too busy with his homework.
But Munson refused to listen.
Feel the drama of new quarterback pass attack, only at Sears. It's the game that brings quarterbacking to life, where friends can challenge one another, marching up and down the field, punting, kicking, and scoring TDs. Quarterback pass attack, only at Sears, only $149.88.
He drops back in the pocket. The fans climb to their feet. Oh, he brushes off a defender, and he lets one fly!
Equipped with shock sensors and infrared eyes, Quarterback Pass Attack monitors the time, the play, and the score. It's a high-tech arcade game right in your home, so check it out along with a lot of other fun games at Sears.
They call her the Cannon.
There's only one place to find Quarterback Pass Attack and other great games. Sears. Where else?
Sunday night on the 1130 Sports Center, a conversation with Shaquille O'Neal. Linda Cohn sits down with Shaq and explores the short shorts controversy.
I'm just doing what the kids want us to do.
His relationship with Kobe.
I'm the big bully, the big brother. He's the little brother. We work together.
And his future with Phil.
If Phil leaves, I'm leaving the next day. Period.
Shaq, our Sunday conversation right after the Seahawks and Broncos.
If you feel like watching football the rest of the afternoon, we're moments away over on ESPN2 from BYU and Hawaii. Rodney, of course, BYU looking to complete the undefeated season. A lot of their fans, a lot of their lawyers wondering where they are for the BCS. Can you blame the BCS for this? They're number 8 in the polls anyway.
No, you can't blame the BCS for this thing. You know, when you play the 105th toughest schedule, that's not very tough at all. You have to dominate. They didn't dominate, and in fact, they barely got lucky enough to win against New Mexico, Wyoming, and Mississippi State teams with losing records. So if you're BYU, great season, enjoy the Liberty Bowl, but don't blame the BCS because they didn't earn the BCS Bowl this year.
That's right. Yeah, an old system, you wouldn't be going to the Sugar Bowl anyway. It'd be number 8, you get a nice bowl. It wouldn't work out that
and
way.
they've got a nice bowl.
And if you want playoffs, you go to Division II. We're in the Division II National Championship Game at the half right now. Hope you enjoyed the halftime report. We're coming back. Mark Jones, Todd Christensen will have the second half when we return.
We invite you to experience the endless opportunities that make life worth living in the Grand Cities.
Cindy and I wanted to work in a healthcare environment with leading-edge technology and top-notch healthcare professionals. We also wanted a safe and healthy environment for our kids to grow up in with great schools.
The Grand Cities offers many of the amenities found in larger cities. We have a thriving arts community, excellent entertainment, and world-class sporting facilities. And the shops and restaurants are great.
The Grand Cities. There's more on our horizon.
The University of North Dakota has a rich history of retaining and graduating American Indian students. UND offers 26 American Indian programs, more than any other higher education institution in the U.S. The support services provided by Native American programs enhance student success. Native American programs offers tutoring, academic advising, and financial aid assistance, which makes UND a leader in Indian education. For more information, call 1-800-CALL-UND.
After 14 weeks of football, North Dakota and Grand Valley State playing for the championship. That's what's at stake today for these two crews who've come to Florence in search of college football's really ultimate prize in Division II. At halftime, the score is 7-3 Grand Valley State with the lead, but far below the amount of points that they are used to scoring. And Todd Christensen, one of the themes in the first half, everyone talked about the Grand Valley State offense, but the defense has really done the job for them.
Well, considering the fact that they had 2 turnovers, 4 different field goal attempts, and it seemed like that they resided almost exclusively at their end of the field, you got to give a lot of credit to that Grand Valley State defense for only giving up 3 points, and also the fact that they've only given up around 160 yards total offense as well. And we talked about North Dakota's defense. We need to pay homage to the Lakers. They're terrific there in the first half.
Let's take a look at our ESPN game track. The running game, a big increase in the number of yards in the second quarter as compared to the first.
Well, of course, Mike O'Neill had those 2 interceptions, but in both cases, Paterka couldn't come through and kick field goals. And, of course, he was 1 for 4 in the first half, and that has to change because, really, at this point, I don't anticipate this turning into a scoring fest here in the second half. I mean, it really is going to be a defensive struggle.
Unless they move the game indoors somehow.
Yeah.
Lakers receiving the kick. Banks. Got to block. Banks weaving his way out to the 34-yard line after running about 55 yards. Let's go to Dave.
Coach Dale Lennon's team, some uncharacteristic mistakes in the first half. 5 penalties, 29 yards, and some drop passes. Was that a key to your halftime address?
Well, it most definitely was. We don't feel we've really played Sioux football yet, especially offensively. We've had a lot of opportunities and just haven't taken advantage of it. And, you know, the drop passes are a concern, missed field goals. You know, it's a situation where we're playing the type of game we want to be in. It's just now we got to start taking advantage of the opportunities we do have.
Good luck on getting that first ever tunnel.
Thank you. All right, the drops. Chad Mustard dropping a big potential big play for North Dakota and a penalty on the first play.
This is interesting, Mark, that right there at the 35-yard line, that was the best starting field position of the day for Grand Valley State, and now they move back 5 yards. Some telling things in the statistics. You would think that with that much of a margin in time of possession, it would be a big issue. And, of course, on the flip side, also the 2 turnovers. It has not been, which, again, bodes well for the defense of the Lakers, who have been outstanding. And, of course, now as a result of Brady at quarterback, they're actually out rushing the Fighting Sioux.
First down and 15. Brady hands it off to Lesniak, stopped up. Right near the line of scrimmage. Lesniak, the guy they're trying to uncork and untrack a little bit. He's the speedster.
And Eric Schmidt is somebody whose name we thought we'd be calling a lot. He's the one that gets the tackle on that play. But every opportunity it seems that he's had, whether it be a quarterback or downfield, he hasn't quite been able to make the play. But as defensive coordinator Kyle Schweigert told me, this young man is relentless. He will play for the entire time. He does not take plays off.
And then North Dakota, great athlete, a former hurdle champion in track and field in high school. Second down and 16 for the Lakers. Wojciechowski at quarterback. Wide open at the 38 is number 83, Hibbler.
And once again, though, even though they do get the 13 yards, that's an excellent open field tackle by Riendo. I thought that he was going to get the first down because he had so much space. And instead, number 25 comes up and drops him, and that forces another third down for the Lakers.
All out at the 42-yard line as the coach continues to change his quarterbacks. Coach Kelly signaling them in plays.
Mark, that's the most open we've seen a receiver all day.
Yes, there is. Brady and a quarterback put it on the ground. And this one imploded right from the snap, Todd. O'Neal made the tackle.
And not what you want to do against North Dakota. You don't want to go 3 and out. O'Neal comes in to drop him, but of course that is, what's the term in tennis? Unforced error.
There you go.
I believe on the part of Grand Valley State, and they're going to have to give the ball up.
Pat Williams into punt, his 4th of the day.
And by the way, it was Jimmy Giles. We've got a whole halftime question. Tight end, my buddy Jimmy Giles.
See another one of those plays, hopefully, in the second half here on 4th down. Williams,
nice punt.
It's off his best one of the day so far. Down to the 15, that's Graff. Flag down back at the 24. Graff pushed out of bounds near midfield at the 50. A 45-yard punt, but this one's probably going to come back.
Eric Schmidt is pleading his case there at the 28-yard line, but it is going to come back. They're going to call it a block in the back. It looked like it was awfully close. Watch number 40 in the bottom right corner of your screen and decide for yourself as to whether or not this is a clip. Right here at the end, that's not a clip. That's not a clip. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate on that call. But again, one of the things that I noticed, he did the basketball thing, Mark, and that is he put his hand, right. And so automatically sometimes human nature tells you to make that call. Tough break for Dale Lennon and the Fighting Sioux.
Yeah, he's going to mark the ball back all the way just inside the 15. North Dakota last week scored only 14 points in its victory over UC Davis.
And just as on the other end, the Lakers had their best field position of the game, this is the worst field position for the Fighting Sioux.
First drive of the second half for North Dakota. Prokorevich pushed out of bounds just beyond the 15 at the 16-yard line by Dustin Cole on the play.
One thing that impresses me, Mark, about this Laker defense is that despite the fact that they're not very big, they fly around and they hit. You know, normally because there isn't as big a crowd, I can hear it in my ear. I can hear the collisions of the pads. Youngsters are flying all over the place, particularly that linebacking core.
I'm going to be honest with you, Todd. When you mention Laker defense, I expect to see Kobe Bryant down in the stands somewhere and Shaq clogging up the paint.
It sounds funny, doesn't it?
Second down and 8. Little receiver screen, incomplete. Intended for number 89, Schleusner. It was blown up by James Barnes, number 9 on the edge.
And I'm not sure that Barnes wasn't there a little bit early. Seemed to me that he got there a little bit too soon, but the officials didn't see it. There he is, number 9. Look at that. He's dragging him down before the ball gets to him. That should have been a penalty.
He got chopped down, too, almost, it seemed.
Yep.
He
Probably asking for a little clarification or explanation from the official. Injured player down to the field. Dave Ryan will hopefully get us some information on that when we come back.
ESPN and ESPN2, home of the NCAA Women's College Basketball Championship.
Moo. If you're looking for a great deal on a computer, now's the time to call 1-800-GATEWAY, because now you can get the Gateway 300S loaded with Microsoft Windows XP, an Intel Celeron processor, a 15-inch flat-screen monitor, GCS speakers, a 20-gigabyte hard drive, and a CD burner, all for just $9.99. This special offer is good for a limited time, so call 1-800-GATEWAY now. That's 1-800-GATEWAY.
I always say, don't judge a man until you see what's in his garage. I'm a guy who craves power. Power that only Optima batteries deliver. The red top Optima, more starting power in any weather. Optima blue tops for all the marine power you can handle. And Optima yellow tops for the big-time auxiliary power in this baby. Optima batteries are different. They take cold, heat, and vibration better than other batteries. Yeah, Optima batteries, the ultimate power source.
Mike has never bought me any jewelry except for my wedding ring. He got my car detailed once.
And that brought her to tears. When it's time to get the girl in your life something special.
We just had a baby.
Say hi, Nina.
The last month of my pregnancy, I was a blimp, and it was not feeling very attractive.
Walmart jewelry probably has just what you're looking for.
One day he comes in and hands me this box, and he says it's a birthstone ring.
At an everyday low price.
I said, honey, it's beautiful, but it's not my birthstone. He said, I know. It's Nina's.
Walmart jewelry. Special gifts for special girls.
Now, a few of you may have heard a little partial verbal faux pas just moments ago. Mine, of course. And look at the logo. It looks strikingly familiar, Todd, to another school out there with a gold helmet. I'm trying to recall.
Northern Denver? No. New Delaware?
Northwest.
Okay,
Notre Dame. Yeah.
There you go.
Team without a coach right now, I think. Third down and 8. For North Dakota. Osterman sacked back at the 10-yard line by Marshall and Risk.
And it's interesting because we've talked about the offensive line and how effective they've been in the running game, but they have really struggled in pass protection. And we talk about Risk. He's a tough one, 6'1", 255. One of the advantages of being a little bit shorter is that you do have some leverage underneath, and that's what he's able to do. Gets underneath the guard and makes the play.
Well, high risk and high return on that play. Good investment for Grand Valley State. 3 and out for the Laker defense. Benton with his third punt.
Very returnable.
Perkis still on his feet. Out of bounds at the 19-yard line. And let's go downstairs today.
All right, Mark. Moments ago, Tom talking about Chad Risk making that big play. What a huge season he's had. Back at spring ball, when the new defensive line coach Jimmy Williams joined the staff, he laid out his game plan. He said it would take incredible commitment, first on the field, last off type mentality, extra running for the defensive line to produce in the fall. And Chad Risk didn't really want to be part of that. He was on the verge of quitting the team, didn't think he could withstand the physical strain of the intense conditioning. He was struggling in school. After an hour-long meeting with Coach Williams and head coach Brian Kelly, he decided to stick it out. And Grand Valley in the semifinal win had that huge couple sacks against Catawba last week. All parties happy he stayed at Allendale.
Well, it seems like a long time ago now. On the verge of winning the title with the lead right now, 7-3, with 11:30 to play in the third quarter. Irvin making the stop on Spearman.
Well, we hadn't mentioned the name David Kirkus much, and we outlined at the top of the show those unbelievable stats that he had. But with Brady playing the bulk of the time at quarterback, he has not been afforded the opportunity to catch the ball. Only 2 catches for 39 yards, but clearly there, a huge play with that punt return, setting him up in excellent field position.
Second down and 4. Brady making the handoff, keeping it himself. Close to the first down at about the 8-yard line.
And again, the offensive line asserting itself. One of the things that I've noticed about Brady, Mark, is he's very patient. There's a tendency when running quarterbacks have is they get the ball and they just want to take off. Yeah. He lets the play develop, and it seems like sometimes he's going a little bit slow, but in that case, goes with the fake, is behind the left guard, and gets the first down.
They're going to bring the chains in, and Take a closer look.
Spoke
It appears as if he has it.
You know what? I shouldn't do that.
All right. Spearman, meanwhile, needing just one more yard to reach the 2,000 plateau in his career. The junior, 5'10", 195 pounds.
It's one of the impressive things about this Grand Valley State team as well. A number of people coming back. A lot of underclassmen on this team.
With quarterback Kurt Ames before the game, he really is looking forward to next year. Wants to get back to this spot. Of course, there are no guarantees. First down and goal.
But 49 touchdown passes, there's no guarantee.
They run the option into the boundary, and he is upended and comes down on his feet. Down to the 5. Riendo making the tackle.
Made a number of interesting tackles, has Riendo. And I'm talking about the kind where he steps up and collides. Usually your corners are not your tackle guys. They're your cover people, but the 5'10", 190-pounder from Grand Forks has come up and put the lick on a few people today. And as you pointed out, 7 interceptions, and he does a lot with those interceptions. He's running back for over 220 yards. He's a player.
Return 3 for touchdown. Second down and goal for the Lakers. Incomplete. Intended for number 80, Kirkus.
I'm going to use a phrase that my father used to use when I was little. He said, that little scam. That's what he said. Riendo's out there on the 6'3" Kirkus. This is what they didn't want. They're a little concerned that he couldn't do it. Watch him jump up. Now is he... Whoa, boy. That could be considered face guarding.
Didn't see him look back.
He did not look back, but once again, he's with him stride for stride, and give him credit. The more athletic number 80 could not come down with it.
Third down and goal. Spearman the lone back. They run the option into the boundary. Nowhere to go. Brought down by Kolaticky. That's 4th and goal.
And that's a great play by Kotelnicki, and this is why. He had a man on him. He had a man on him being blocked. This has been their most effective play in terms of the option. He shakes him off, is able to tackle the quarterback. Now, folks, let's point out the fact that 5 for 9 coming into this game is their kicker, Sontag, a long of 31. So this is no guarantee by any stretch.
Yeah, they've been so busy scoring touchdowns.
Right.
He doesn't get a lot of field goal attempts. This one from 25 yards out. We have seen an abundance of procedural penalties up front today.
We got a dead ball, encroachment on the defense. We're going to go half the distance, still be 4th down.
Moves the ball down to the 3-yard line. Does that change your thinking at all as a coach?
No.
You still kick it?
No, still do, because it's 4th and goal. Take a look right here. See if anybody moves. Nobody moved. That was a good call by the official. The one thing about this, though, remember, this is a very severe angle at 20 yards.
Brady is the holder on the play. And it's blocked. It's blocked.
I think it was Riendo. I think he's the one that laid out and got a piece of it.
There was a surge on the line, and yes, it was, number 25.
I got to tell you, Mark, it seems like I'm making this kid a star in the last. I keep mentioning his name, but he keeps making plays. First, the big tackle. Then, of course, the play on Kirkus. But look what he does here, laying out. Just gets a piece of it. We talked about the fact that it was going to be at a very difficult angle. Now the momentum has changed colors. It's green and white.
To get around these parts, they say you need dogs. Good thing I got my Subaru Outback. With loads of cargo space, toasty seat warmers, and the added traction of full-time all-wheel drive, it's the perfect way to get around. Even when you're way out here. Now, as for the dogs, they're not much help if you ask me. Outback, the world's first sport utility wagon.
Now you can get an APR as low as 2.9% on all 2002 Outback models.
Let's have some fun, fellas. Let me see. It's starting to jump harder than that. Woo! Put more power to it now. Is that loud enough for you guys? That was
We're looking for the closest shave. Oh, not his. Couldn't get the tough spots. But he did. He got total closeness with the new Remington TCT, the only shaver designed to get the tough spots. With a unique system that first trims the hard-to-get hairs, followed by 3 flexing foils to cut even closer. And now introducing the new Remington Rotary TCT. More flexing action than any other. The new Remington TCT shavers. Total closeness or your money back.
The NCAA Division II Football Championship is brought to you by Gateway. You've got a friend in the business.
Seven to 3 with 8:50 to play in the third quarter. A tremendous amount of pomp and circumstance and festivities here as the two teams gather here in Florence, Alabama to determine the winner in college football. The champion in Division II. First down and 10 for the University of North Dakota, coming in at 13-1 on the season. Kelby Klosterman at quarterback, hands it off to Perkorevich. Brought down at the 27. Here it was last night, the scene to determine the winner of the Harlan Hill Trophy, the outstanding player in Division II college football. And there's the man that the award is named after, Harlan Hill.
Again, individually, have them stand and...
The winner, Dusty Bonner. Winning the Harlan Hill, and from Valdosta State, former transfer from Kentucky.
Had a chance to visit with him in between quarters. Excited young man, and he was going to get a chance to play in the Hula Bowl.
Second down and 3. Klosterman keeps it himself. Out near the first down, beyond the 30. Let's go downstairs to Dave Bryan, who's standing by with the guy that took home the hardware last night.
That's right. Big award for Dusty Bonner from Valdosta State. Just the second player ever. In addition to Johnny Bailey, who won 3 in a row at Texas A&I to win 2 straight Harlan Hill awards. What kind of honor is that for you?
It's a huge honor for me, and you know, it all goes back to my teammates and coaches, and I'm just really thankful.
Todd, a moment ago, mentioned you're going to play in the Hula Bowl, so a chance against the 1A guys. You played at Kentucky before. Do you think you got a shot at the NFL?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I can definitely go try to play, and I hope to, and I want to, but I just got to go make the most of my opportunities right now.
What are your thoughts on watching these two teams today?
They're playing very well. The defense is playing strong, and they just got to keep battling out.
Great to see you. Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
First down and 10 to run the draw to Perkorevich with a gaping hole out near another first down at the 41-yard line. And we should mention that Kurt Ames, the quarterback of Grand Valley State, finishing a close second, I believe.
Yeah, the voting, as I understood, it was something like 209, 203. It was awfully close. And, of course, the young man, I'm sorry I picked that earlier when you said there are no guarantees for his job. But I said 49 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, no guarantees. Come on.
Oh, no, I meant getting back here.
I knew what you meant. But, yeah, it was quite close. But Bonner back-to-back. Congratulations to you.
Second down and 1. Great play fake. Incomplete behind his intended receiver, Chad Mustard. Mustard earlier dropped one. He was defended that time by Terry Foster.
Once again, on second and short, they decided to take a shot up the field, and it was ineffective as we see Ames there on the, 209, 201. Oh, well, okay.
Still close.
Then it was a rout. Yeah, no, exactly.
One more vote just came in from Florida.
Yeah, very close. That's right. Let's check these Chads. I think it was 203. Still, what a great year that young man has had despite his injury. We really hope that over the next 8 months he can come back and be 100%.
Third down and 1. Backs lining up out of the eye this time. And flags down on the field. Kelby Klosterman started off this game with quite the hot hand, but since has cooled off a little bit.
I think there might be something substitution-wise. You know, when you saw over on the sidelines, you saw the coaches screaming, and they didn't have enough people, and they didn't have the right people in the game, and they did it at the last minute, and as a result, that's a gimme first down. And, of course, now that gives them 4 for 11 on third down conversions, but that would fall into the hitting of a large yes. That was a gift.
Room service. You know, one thing that these two teams have to get used to, and all the teams do in this playoff format, you never know who your opponent is going to be, so you deal with consistently the factor of the unknown. One of the maybe excuses for teams not having their rhythm and the abundance of penalties today. First down and 10. Pass complete at the 45-yard line. Folks, don't forget, John Saunders, Terry Bowden will be in Times Square Stadium to reveal which teams will battle for the national championship, plus all the other Bowl Championship Series matchups. The Tostitos BCS Selection Show, Sunday live at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific time on ABC. And, of course, the one ointment in the fly, what happens if LSU wins?
Very good point. That's very interesting. Could it be that Nebraska plays for the national title after being third in their conference?
That is scary. Second down and 1. Play fake. Incomplete, intended for Graff. No flag on the play. Defended well that time by Darren Smith, number 19, and once again when threatened downfield. The defense for the Lakers coming up with another key play, and boy, it's something that we've seen happen throughout the course of this game so far.
What happens with the missed field goals is it's a psychological ploy on both sides. On offense, you get frustrated because you're moving between the tackles, but nothing ever comes to fruition. On defense, you feel good about the fact that, hey, you know, okay, we give up a couple first downs. No problem. We can hang in there.
Continually dodging the bullet. Third down and 1. Boy, this is going to be close. Not sure that he got there. Stopped up right near.
Now he's
45.
He's going to be short. He's going to be short. They're marking at the 45, and now a decision for Dale Lennon as to what to do here. They've been so effective on the third and shorts, and I'm sure that at this point that Chris Mussman might be second-guessing himself. He's become very predictable there on that second and 1, going up top every single time. They could come back to bite him now on 4th and very short because they're going for it.
4th and 1, they're calling it, with about 5.5 minutes to play. One of the maybe early defining moments of the second half here. Stop in motion. Perkarevich falls forward and got the first down at the 44-yard line.
That's a great effort by Perkarevich right there. Not only to get the first down, but a trip over that guy and almost whack you. No, come on, Todd, be serious. In all seriousness, you made a very good point in terms of this being a crucible of the game. Perkarevich now follows behind Larson, doesn't get much of a block, and really at the point of attack, he gets whacked, able to spin off of the tackle of Scott Mackey, the strong safety.
Jed Perkarevich.
And from our vantage point, I thought he got it, but I get in trouble when I try him. Quite Nostradamus. He didn't get it.
He was short. He was short. Boy, he must have hit his knee a lot sooner than where they marked him.
You know what? It's such an inexact science. We both know that. I mean, you come in and see that. It appeared to me that his effort did get him actually past the 44-yard line, but the side judge came in, marked a little bit short. And Dale Lennon's not very happy about it. But now his defense is going to have to rise to the occasion, as they have, frankly, all year long.
This is a defense, North Dakota's, that has pitched 2 consecutive shutouts. The 2 points that the team surrendered last week against UC Davis came the result of a late safety. First down and 10 for the Lakers. Spearman stopped up after a gain of about 3 by Josh Burrow.
And so now as a result of that carry, he does get over his 2,000 yards for his career. Congratulations, number 1.
5'10" junior. Team's leading rusher during the regular season. They've been averaging 75 yards per contest. Always important to have a guy like that to help you on the ground in these kind of conditions. Second down and 7.
That's backwards. That's a fumble.
Yep.
That's a fumble.
Still live, and the Lakers appear to have recovered it. Hey, Lesniak just watched it.
Let me test your memory a little bit. I know that you're a sports guy. Do you remember the first time, the most controversial time that occurred? I'll give you a hint. It was 1968. And I know you're younger than I am.
Okay. I'd like to get this one. I'll get a bail you out. Go ahead.
Darryl LaMonica threw out to Charlie Smith. Okay, and Charlie Smith just let the ball go just like Lesniak. The Jets recovered, go in for the touchdown. They end up beating the Raiders and, of course, go on to Super Bowl III and they win.
Third down and 14. I think we got a little grainy black and white there to dig up in the truck. Inside the screen. Banks out near midfield. got some of that yardage back out to the 48.
And again, we talk about the psychology of the game. Great opportunity for Grand Valley to come in. Hey, all right, we got it. We did this. Let's go down the field. Instead, North Dakota's defense says, 3 and out.
The defense is dictating the tempo and the tenor of the game today. As the Lakers get set to punt once again.
Now, remember last time Graff had a pretty good return, minus the phantom clip. The interesting this time is they try and set up a return or a block.
They come after him a little bit.
Nice kick.
Graff calling for the fair catch right at the 20-yard line. A 32-yard punt. Nothing on the return. This is the Division II title game, and when we come back, Dave Ryan will have a special guest down at the field.
We invite you to experience the endless opportunities that make life worth living in the Grand Cities.
Amazon.com chose to increase the size of its Grand Forks because of the local qualified workforce and the ongoing support that we've received from Job Service North Dakota and the Economic Development Corporation.
I moved to the Grand Cities from Seattle, Washington. It's been a great move for me. I have a challenging job with an exciting company, a community with caring neighbors, high-energy college sports, and especially the short commute to work.
The Grand Cities. There's more on our horizon.
It is my pleasure to represent 90,000 alumni and friends of the University of North Dakota in congratulating the Fighting Sioux football team on their first trip to the National Division II Championship Game. The Alumni Association is proud to be a sponsor of this broadcast, and we wish Coach Dale Lennon, his assistant coaches, and our outstanding athletes the very best in their quest for a national title. Go Sioux!
Commitment. Sure, we're athletes, but we're committed to intellectual excellence.
Encouragement.
The leadership here is amazing. It's totally dedicated to creating greatness.
Development.
It's an opportunity for me to develop the skills I'll need to succeed.
Opportunity.
It's a learning experience like no other. I'm learning to be a better leader.
The NCAA Foundation Leadership Conference, educating future leaders for a lifetime of success.
All right, we're joined by a very special guest on the sideline. Actually, a couple special guests. Melinda Vandenberg, who is Eric Vandenberg's wife, starting strong safety for Grand Valley State and one of the equipment managers during the year. It's got to be pretty dramatic for you to watch the game so close to your due date, February 2nd, right?
I know it hurts. It pokes me every game. So I'm really nervous.
So we may have a future kicker there. That's possible. What's that been like? We're actually going to have his play mark in a second here. We'll talk more with Melinda.
Wow, like you said, Dave, could have a kicker in there somewhere. What if the activity heats up during the game? 7-3, 1st and 10. North Dakota with the ball. Perkarevich out to the 22, back to Dave.
So, Melinda, how difficult was that to organize your wedding in the middle of the football season? The team had just played a game October 7th. You two finally got married.
It was very difficult. We still haven't gotten our wedding thank yous out, so I might want to make that shout out. We've been so busy with football and homework and everything. It's just crazy.
You're a student also at Grand Valley State. Guys, let's go to the baby here one more time to finish things out. Either Ezekiel or Charlize, depending on a boy or a girl.
Right.
What are you saying there, baby? Who's going to win this game?
Oh, Rhino, come on. Hey, Dave, if you can get that interview, that's a scoop. That's a scoop right there, Dave Ryan. Good stuff. You'll do anything to get someone in front of the mic. Only 2nd and 9. And this one snubbed by number 14, Mackey, once again, the strong safety making a play.
Remember, Mackey was the one that made the play on the 4th down, of which we thought was a first down, but turned out not to be. And, of course, also in on the play is number 4, Terry Foster, their undersized linebacker, continues to make plays. And now, once again, the difficulty here, 3rd down conversions of this distance are very, very difficult to make. And, of course, we've already discussed how problematic it's been for the Fighting Sioux today.
They come out in one of the formations we've seen a lot of times, 2 tight ends and 2 wideouts, single back set. Osterman. Incomplete. His receiver falls, Schlusner falls, but no flag, and it's 4th down, time to punt.
And, of course, the timing of that seems appropriate because the man running with him happens to be Eric Vandenberg, the father of that child that Dave interviewed.
Or if you could call it
soon-to-be
that.
child, yeah, exactly.
Child issuing comments through her mother, of course. Benton into punt. His 4th of the day.
That's right. That's right. Your husband made that play. That's what we're talking about.
It's tough to get married during the season. There's a lot going on.
Nice punt.
Urkus backpedaling at the 25. Looking to make a big play. He lost it. There's a flag down back at the 24.
But the flag is going to be for holding.
A 55-yard punt. Let's wait and see who got this.
Now, this is interesting. It's not always...
It's North Dakota ball.
And the recovery was made by David Wisthoff, a reserve running back. But again, Kirkus was not holding the ball safely, trying to make a play. Here he is. He makes the catch, cuts to the outside. Now watch right there. He avoids the tackle. Now watch the ball come out. And look, it just bounces out of his hands. Nobody swatted it. It just came out. And something that I had addressed to you earlier, Mark, at the first half, we had discussed the idea that maybe on a day like this, even though normally he's barehanded, because it's wet, maybe he'd have been better off with gloves. That's easy to second guess, and I'm not second guessing a great player like Kirkus, but again, you know, given the circumstances, and especially in a game of this magnitude, you know, on a punt return, why not?
First down and 10. North Dakota working in the short field at the 30-yard line. Bergerevich hit at the 26. I'm Mark Jones along with Todd Christensen and Dave Ryan. We're here in Florence, Alabama on the banks of the Tennessee River. The Division II title game, Grand Valley State leading 7-3 right now over North Dakota. Grand Valley State in the green, North Dakota. Check that, Grand Valley State in the white, North Dakota in the green. Second down and 6. Grand Valley State trying to protect its unblemished record, 13-0 on the season. Bergerevich dragged down to the 22 that time by Scott Mackey, the strong safety.
Good block in front of him by Matt Knudsen, the offensive lineman who led the way for him. Really, it appeared for a moment there that he was going to get around and get the first down. This game is starting to go rapidly, and that bodes well for North Dakota. And I'm saying that not the fact that they're behind, but this is the pace of the game that Dale Lennon discussed with us. This is what he wanted.
Nice little slow dance. Third down and 1.
Nobody over the center. You could sneak it.
Using up time on the play clock. Bergerevich met. Wow. Right in the hole at the 20. Wow. Clarence Lindsay.
But from my vantage point, the one side judge had him across the 20, and one side judges has him on the other side of the 20. So we'll go to the other side of the field at the end of the third quarter to decide which guy was right.
And what would Kurt Ains do to be able to play in this game to help his team to victory? You'll have to wait till next season. 7-3, final quarter when we come back.
Like every Subaru, the Forester comes with all-wheel drive standard. The Ford Escape doesn't. The Forester comes with ABS standard. The Escape doesn't. And in independent crash tests, the Forester received the highest rating. The Escape was rated simply marginal. Nice car.
What do I look like? A dummy?
Subaru Forester, a smarter way to build an SUV.
Now you can get an APR as low as 2.9% on all 2002 Forester models.
Thanks to the technology inside, you can take Guinness Draft outside. Introducing Guinness Draft in a bottle.
I'm Sonic Man.
And I won't rest until every man has tried the Panasonic Sonic Shaving Mask, the world's fastest shaver. 13,000 RPMs, baby. 3 times faster than the leading brand. 3 times faster. Maybe you didn't get the memo.
Well, I'll be.
There's no faster shaver, wet or dry.
What kind of shave does 3 times faster give you?
Smooth.
Yeah.
Like a baby's butt.
That is smooth.
Suavito.
Suavito, baby. You're next. Panasonic Sonic Shaving Mask. Wet or dry, the world's fastest shaver.
My good mate Wes and I have been out documenting some gorgeous snakes with my trusty Pentax digital camera. The handy thing is, you can preview the image, and if it's not right, whammo, you just click another. Now there's a handsome bloke. Of course, if it's Wes's face in the photo, well, there's not much you can do about that. Crikey, this is very sad. Pentax, reliable gear for your adventures.
Now is the time to go behind.
Let's go get our boy back.
Enemy lines. Behind enemy lines. Rated PG-13. Now playing only in theaters.
Now get the Wall Street Journal delivered for 8 weeks at just 38 cents a day, a 50% savings. Call now 800-553-4400. That's 800-553-4400 for the Wall Street Journal.
Let's go back to 1999, and what a thrilling game that was. Carson Newman against Northwest Missouri State. A high-scoring game? You betcha. 52-52 going into overtime. And then Carson Newman lost in the championship game for the 3rd time in 4 years. Yeah, it went 4 overtimes. Northwest rallied from a 44-29 deficit to tie and then force the overtime and go on to win it 58-52. That's kind of what we thought about this game, Todd, coming in.
We were wrong.
1st down and 10. Klosterman keeps it himself. Down at the 12-yard line.
Very impressed there with Perkarevich there with a lead block. Normally your tailback isn't much of a blocker. You get a chance to see game track.
Let's take a look at our game track. And Klosterman, running the ball moments ago, has cooled off since opening really well, I guess. And 3 turnovers.
But to their advantage, they haven't necessarily turned them into points. And of course, on 4th and 1, they were able to hold on that crucial series near midfield. Now the defense here, 2nd and 2, just has to be thinking the same thing. Force a field goal, force a field goal, force a field goal.
Yeah, that's really been a big strategy there.
Yep.
It's worked.
Yep.
Down to the 10-yard, Perkarevich. Tackled by Vanderberg.
One of the things that North Dakota, and one of the reasons why they haven't been as effective in the 2nd half running is this. They continue to go with a 2 tight end offense, and while they are powerful and they push people around, the reality is, Mark, is that bunches everybody in. One of the things that they should do and think about is go to a 3 or 4 wide receiver set, but continue to run the ball. That takes away your run support. Exactly, because that's the way Grand Valley State has been able to run as effectively as they have, and taking away the run support people in the secondary.
Just their strategies. Short yardage situation.
Well, all he needed to do is to get to the 10, and it appears that he got across the 10, so that'll be a 1st down. Now, Mark, the hardest yards, in my opinion, the most difficult thing is to be 1st and goal at the 9. Those yards are just impossible to get because you can't get the 1st down, but you know with the short field you're limited in what you can do.
The long 9 most times, and they will bring the sticks and measure them, just make sure. And it is the 1st down and goal from just inside the 10-yard line. We saw head coach Brian Kelly well-clothed, keeping warm on the other side of the field. Meanwhile, Dale Lennon, his counterpart in his 3rd year at North Dakota, wearing a short sleeve. And keep in mind, it's a team and program used to working in inclement weather.
That's right.
In severe weather.
You saw Cameron Paterka on the sidelines. He does not want to come into this situation, kick a field goal. He wants to come in and kick an extra point, I guarantee you.
He's 1 of 4 on the day. North Dakota nearly doubling the amount of 1st downs to their opponents.
Great fade. Great fade. He sold it. Touchdown. 22. Great fade. Kelby Klosterman with his 11th touchdown of the postseason. And I got to tell you, I was critical earlier of Chris Mussman in some of his play calling earlier, but this is a great play. As we talked about, first and goal at the 9, what do you do? If you throw, oh, that's for second 9. Now we've got to throw again. If you run and you don't get any yardage, what do you do? Take a look at he puts it under his hand. Now here comes reverse. You know it's on the reverse. He doesn't have the ball, does he? Does he? Yes, he does. That, folks, is what you call the old-fashioned bootleg. He had that on his leg. Great job by Klosterman.
And Paterka now in for the extra point. Knocks it through. And for quarterback Kelby Klosterman, wow, it was an education in prestidigitation. Little trickery. We'll be right back.
I'm going to be late for my own wedding. No worries. My new Subaru Outback's more stable in a turn than a Lexus RX 300. Gets better gas mileage than a Ford Explorer. And like every Subaru, has the added traction of all-wheel drive.
Subaru Outback, the world's first sport utility wagon.
The rugged outdoorsy type. Nice choice.
Now you can get an APR as low as 2.9% on all 2002 Outback models.
You may think that game shows are my life, but I'm into all the latest things.
What is the compact desktop PC?
That's correct. Power, speed, games.
What are its features?
Right again.
And it's at CompUSA.
Ooh, sorry. You didn't phrase that in the form of a question.
CompUSA, where America buys technology. Get the compact Presario 5320 US PC powered by the Intel Pentium 4 processor.
Power. For business, it equals profits. In North Dakota, power is affordable energy, abundant water, and an available workforce driven to innovate.
We found this power in North Dakota. In fact, our North Dakota plant sets global records for productivity and speed.
Experience the power of profit in North Dakota, a business state of mind.
Just a terrific call, and as you pointed out, Martin, a great job of ball handling. Luke Schleusner is the one who comes in motion. Now, everybody thinks this is a reverse. Now, you stop it right here. Watch all the white shirts. Look at the white shirts. Everybody is thinking reverse. They're going in this direction. Everybody has to look and go. Now, watch the white shirts pursue. Now, Klosterman has the ball on his hip and nothing but green grass in front of him. That is just an excellent call, because after all the plays that they've done straight ahead, Mark, as soon as you fake to go to the reverse, that's got to be what it is, right?
It's got to be. Yeah. Chris Mussman really setting that one up. They squib it. Lakers bouncing on it at the 33.
Now, what's the thinking behind that? I don't understand that at all, because Paterka has such a great leg. Take a look at that graphic. That is astounding. It just goes to show that you can never predict, particularly in college football, because like you, Mark, I thought this is going to be fun. It's going to be one of those, no, down the field, 42-41. Instead, 10-7, a defensive struggle.
And that's why a lot of times it's best to take it out of the hands of statistics, man, and computers, and put the teams on the field, make them play.
Yep, amen.
Ryan Brady in at quarterback. First down and 10 for Grand Valley State. They trail by a field goal. Brady on the option. Got a block. Is out to the 39-yard line. Keep in mind that the last time the Lakers would have had the ball, Kirkus fumbled it on that punt, and it led to the first points off a turnover today for their opponents, North Dakota.
Well, again, you know what? In fairness to that defense for Grand Valley, yes, they gave up a touchdown, but again, 3 turnovers. 2 of them did not turn into points, and so you just can't keep turning the ball over and around.
Second down and 4. And flags down on the field. I'm not sure these teams have played in the game so far in the postseason with this many combined penalties.
You might be right.
Approaching double digits.
Ball, false start, on the offense, 5 yards, repeat second down.
Folks, don't forget the College Game Day Bowl Selection Show comes your way on ESPN Sunday at 6 Eastern Time, 3 Pacific. Grace Davis, Rod Gilmore, Mark May break down all the bowl matchups, see where your favorite team ends up. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. 2nd down and 9 right now. From the 34. Grand Valley State led most of the ball game, but trail now. Intended for Kirkus. And he's drawn a lot of attention.
Well, Dan Vaughn, defensive tackle for Grand Valley State, sums up that last series for his team. Finally, he takes a look and he's frustrated over the fact that, you know what, we've done so well up to this point. I mean, you know, and they have, frankly, they have. But you know what, the 3rd turnover ends up being the charm for North Dakota. Let me make a comment with regards to Kirkus. His relationship with Brady, how can he have much of a relationship with him throughout the season? Has been thrown with Ames almost the entire time.
Right, it's funny, we saw he and Ames hanging out a lot in the hotel lobby. You see the chemistry between them on and off the field. 3rd down and 9, incomplete. And Wojciechowski fires over the head of his intended target.
This is why a seemingly innocuous penalty like motion for a team now like Grand Valley is huge, because your quarterback is a running quarterback. He doesn't come up with big chunks of yardage in terms of throwing the ball downfield. And so as a result, they could not get that 3rd down conversion. And Ames has to be thinking to himself, man, if I'd have been in there, I'd have run this. I'd have had him on the slant. I'd have him on the skinny post. Had him on a corner. Had him on a comeback. You know.
How impatient does he look on the sidelines? 6th punt of the day coming up, meanwhile, for Grand Valley State. Matt Williams. Revich with 95 yards rushing. 4th down and 9.
Another bad snap.
They came after him. Raff watches it bounce and feels it at the 20. Got a great block at the 25.
That's a great tackle. That is a great tackle in the open field by Clarence Lindsey. And it just goes to show you, we see the blocks by Eric Schmidt, the tackle by Lindsey open field. When you're at the Division II level, your stars play on special teams.
49 yards of the punt, 13 on the return. GVSU, they trail when we come back.
There are powers of the human spirit which allow one to achieve extraordinary dreams. At the University of North Dakota, athletes develop the character and strength of mind and body to reach those dreams. UND players contend competitively with the nation's best. And with state-of-the-art sporting centers, players train and compete in the finest facilities in the world. Fighting Sioux athletics have a long tradition of producing champions in the classroom and on the playing field. Get into the spirit of Fighting Sioux athletics at the University of North Dakota.
Did the first taste of winter catch you by surprise? Keep old man winter at bay with a trip to Fisher Motor Service Department. Let's start with some new snow tires. Fisher's carries a great selection for all makes and models. And with the purchase of a set of snow tires, you'll receive a computerized alignment check, a $19.95 value. We'll also give your car a complete cold weather inspection so you're ready for whatever is ahead. So let the battle with old man winter begin with a trip to Fisher Motor Service Department, North Dakota's only ASC Blue Seal certified dealership.
Great people, great service too.
On Sunday NFL Countdown, Chris Berman visits the comeback 49ers, ready for revenge against the high-flying Rams.
Another wild game? Maybe.
It's a classic showdown at Lambeau. Can the Bears avenge one of their only losses this season against Amon Green and the Pack?
Midwest always a Twitter with this game.
And Countdown talks with the Cowboys' Emmett Smith. Plus previews from all around the league. Get all your NFL news and pregame analysis first with Sunday NFL Countdown beginning 11 a.m. Sunday on ESPN.
Dan Graff came very close to having one go the distance. He takes it on the hop. Take a look at the middle of the field. Now he cuts back against the green. Watch number 40, Eric Schmidt. Pow! Gets that first block. Now as he cuts to the outside, he's waiting on Jake Nordick. He gets one more block if he can get Lindsey down right there, but he can't because he's going to clip him. The result is he's tripped up at the 31-yard line. Otherwise, they could have had a very, very big play. I find it interesting that Lindsey, what a terrific player, the leading tackler coming into this game with 96 tackles, still playing all the special teams.
First down and 10 for North Dakota at their own 30-yard line. Verkarevich knocked down right near the line of scrimmage by Lindsey, the guy you were talking about just a few moments ago. And Todd, I mentioned during the break, when was the last time that Grand Valley State trailed at this late juncture of the ballgame? A team that on the course of the season averages over 53 points a game, often looking at blowouts late.
Very, very cogent thought, Mark, and I posed that question to Brian Kelly if it became competitive because of the fact that they've had 8 different games in which they're leading by 40 or more at halftime and how they were responding to a competitive game. But remember, 2 playoff games ago, Saginaw Valley State a 33-30 game, and I think that should help them in this game.
Second down and 10. They have 10:53 to work with. Klosterman on the move. Brought down to the 33. It'll be third down and about 6 to go.
Klosterman just does not seem to have the savvy as a runner as his counterpart Brady. It looked to me like he had a good 7 to 8 yards, but he hesitates, can't quite decide. He's got his tight end out in front of him and Kivig to lead the way, but instead he just is a little bit indecisive and he gets dropped, and now this is a 3rd and long, which clearly North Dakota has not been very successful in converting.
Well, Klosterman, we're told by the coaches, has a lot of options at the line of scrimmage and has a propensity to use a lot of the play clock. And with 10 minutes to go as we approach that mark now, that could become an ally of theirs or a benefit to theirs. Klosterman right at the first down marker at the 41-yard line, tackled by Vaughn. Maybe it's the first down, Todd.
And maybe he'd have got a little bit more yardage if not for the official. Fades back, has good protection, cuts right up the middle now. I mentioned, now watch the cutback. That's excellent. Now as he's banged down, he ends up with the first. Lindsey points back and isn't quite so sure, but they do give him the first.
140 yards of rushing to 8 in the second half, pardon me, for North Dakota. They've dominated on the ground. First down and 10, just beyond the 40-yard line for North Dakota. Larson blazing for the first down is Blaze Larson.
I knew you were going to say
I had to. At the 44.
Once again, the offensive line for North Dakota creates the opening. Watch the left side of the offensive line, and there's the gap. And again, for being 6'5", 250, he's fairly agile. And again, one of the difficulties of when you try and tackle the ball like that, that's when you have the arm tackles that a 6'5", 247-pound fullback can break through.
And move the chains again. Blaze Larson, a 6'5", 247-pound senior. Kind of a late season bonus, the coaches say, for North Dakota. Someone that really didn't factor into their plans during the course of the regular season up until late, and now in the playoffs has done very well.
Well, he has. You know, he's only had 57 carries on the year, but for 363 yards, that averages out to 6'4" a carry. And if I've got somebody at 6'4" a carry, I got to get him some touches.
No doubt.
163 yards rushing now for North Dakota. And again, I just find it interesting that as we peruse those Nintendo numbers prior to this game, and I remember actually saying to the coach, this is going to be one of those 10-7 games, you know. And of course, I turned out to be so very wrong.
First down and 10. Run the fullback again, Larson. Beyond the 40 to the 39-yard line. Tackled by Vanderberg.
Going with the misdirection, lining him up to one side, and then he cuts back against the grain. And again, you have to figure at this point, after the turnovers and the emotion that has been engendered by the defense for Grand Valley State, that, Mark, they got to be a little bit fatigued.
At this late point in the game, you would think it would be a factor. Second down and 5. Two seconds on the play clock, and they snap it. Larson brought down at the 39-yard line. Well, number 8 BYU, what a story they could tell when the season's over. They take on one of their rivals, 13-0. They take on Hawaii. Todd, that game coming up a little bit later today on ESPN2. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that could be 50-50. One of the difficulties of playing in Hawaii is that, you know what, you go over there and you've got to get it out of your head, right? That it's not a vacation.
What distraction?
As hard as, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What palm trees? What beach?
And let's not forget, Hawaii, you mentioned the great wide receiver, Ashley Lele. They're 8-3 this year. And remember, they did beat Fresno State in a big upset.
3rd down and 5. Drew Jones did a great job over there. Possible keeps it himself and is rocked at the 36. Scott Mackey brought bad intentions with that tackle.
Along with Mackey was James Barnes, because from my vantage point, I thought he was going to get it. Looked like he had his momentum hitting across the 35-yard line. Instead, Barnes says, I don't think so.
And right now in that ball game, and we mentioned just a few moments ago, BYU trailing 14-3 with less than 2 minutes to go in the first. 4th down and 2.
Now you see Brian Kelly with the incompletion. What he's doing there is he's keeping his defense on the field. He's not even trying to get in a punt return. He just wants them to be safe to protect against the fake. Off the side of his foot.
Done that many times today. Only at the 20-yard line. You would think he would get it a little further down the field, but with 6:20 to play in the 4th quarter, a 16-yard punt for Brady and Wojciechowski. It's time to get with the program for the Lakers.
Blockbuster had all the new games?
Guaranteed to be there, non-believers.
Dude, watch the Ottoman.
Ottoman?
Gentlemen, today's training is all about guarantees.
See, Blockbuster has more copies than ever before.
That way they can guarantee games like WWF SmackDown,
Tony Hawk 3.
When'd you get a cat?
And Metal Gear Solid 2. All guaranteed to be there.
It really tastes of cheese.
Games guaranteed. Blockbuster. Are you game enough?
Away from home, need to make a call. Chances are you're going to get hit with a high rate. Well, not anymore. Now there's Minute Pass. With Minute Pass, you know you're getting cheap rates because you buy your minutes up front. Just pick the size that's right for you.
With my Minute Pass, it's 8 cents a minute, home or away.
And your minutes never expire.
When I need more minutes, I just recharge my Minute Pass, and I get bonus minutes every time.
Heading out? Take Minute Pass.
Call 1-800-777-5000 or visit MinutePass.com.
Minute Pass, your pass to a great low rate.
6:20 left, 4th quarter, NCAA Division II National Championship Game. Moments ago, Todd Wojciechowski getting advice from injured star quarterback Kurt Ains of Grand Valley State. Kurt now with us. I know it's frustrating he can't begin the game, but you talked to Todd moments ago. What'd you tell him?
I just told him to stick with it. You know, the best of us make mistakes, and you know, he's young and he's got to get through it. And he's got to come up with a big win for this team. He's got to make plays.
Well, there's a play right there. Out to Kirkus at the 28. Let's go back to Dave.
You know this offense better than anybody. Have not scored a point in the second half. Dave Kirkus had the tough drop punt that led to the North Dakota touchdown. What does the offense have to do to turn it around here?
I think they got to keep doing what they're doing. We're moving the ball well. We got to, you know, keep establishing the running game, get Spearman and Lesniak going, and we got to get a touch to Kirkus. We got to get him. We got to hit him downfield, and we're going to take a couple shots here and try and get him the ball.
Mark. All right, Dave. 32 touchdowns on the year for Kirkus. None today. Spearman with a gaping hole. Tackled at the 45 and another Laker first down. Riondo with the tackle.
But again, the pass loosened things up. With 5:38 remaining, of course, the assumption is, you know what, they can't just run down the field. They're going to have to shake it up and do something else. They're loosened up from the pass. The result is Spearman able to cut back on the drop play for a huge play out to the 45.
Wojciechowski in at quarterback right now. Brady watching from the sidelines.
9 of 20 thus far for Wojciechowski.
Mark. That one into the line. That was Spearman again going between the tackles. Not by Halverson on the play.
Halverson.
I'm trying to look ahead for you at home. I'm thinking that this has got to be an awful lot of pressure on Sontag. We're close to midfield, and I know maybe I'm just getting way, way ahead of myself. But remember, the youngster's 5 of 10 on the season with a long of only 31.
That one blocked earlier in the second half. A great effort by Riondo.
They do have to get it to Kirkus at some point. They got to give it up and get the ball to number 80.
And look his way. Wojciechowski escaping harm's way and throwing it out of bounds. Halverson applying the pressure on the play.
Brian Kelly is saying keep your eyes open, and part of the problem there is because he had only eyes for Kirkus in that situation. There were some other people in the middle of the field he was looking for.
Don't forget, coming up next, it's the 2001 Wendy's High School Heisman presentation. Third down and 10 for Grand Valley State U. 5 of 12 in third down situations today. North Dakota came with a blitz.
At the tackle.
What a play by number 5, Banks. Terrence Banks got the first down.
One of the things about the bubble screen, and that's what it's called now in contemporary football, is the ability to make the first guy miss. If you make the first guy miss, then you've got to play. Here Banks comes back against the grain, and he makes the first man miss with the help of his friends. That was Tom Irvin that could not come up with it. Cuts back against some of the green shirts and gets a first down at the 41.
Taking some of the pressure off of Kirkus in the process. Wojciechowski has a lot of room. Wojciechowski tackled at the 28-yard line by O'Neal. The free safety and a late flag might be a face mask.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. The reason I say that is because it looked like he had him from the back. And I don't know if his hands were able to come across the face. Or, well, that's what they saw.
Not so.
Well, I mean, the way he fell down, it looked that way.
Right.
We get a chance to see it up close. Now he sees the opening. It's a good decision to run. Now here comes O'Neal in pursuit. Watch the left hand as it come across his mask. Oh, it does indeed. Good call by the official. I thought he had the shoulder pad, but no, he did have the mask. Good call.
Grand Valley State's case, better late than never on the call. But you know what, Todd? You watch Wojciechowski run, and when he makes his mind up to scramble, he does a pretty good job.
Now, having said that, though, he is out now, and Brady's back in.
First down and 10. Brady keeps it after faking the handoff to Spearman down to the 21-yard line. Under 4 minutes to play in the fourth quarter here. I'm Mark Jones along with Todd Christensen and Dave Ryan. This is the Division II title game from Florence, Alabama. With 3:42 to go. Grand Valley State driving, looking to go ahead. Grand Valley State led for most of the game, but North Dakota took the lead in the last period. Second down and 9. Into the end zone. Incomplete. Kirkus looks like he had an opportunity to make a play.
Dustin Thornburg, though, was not biting. They decided that's a long ways to throw that fade route. And, of course, as we mentioned before, with the relationship that he has with them, not much. You can see that he tries to get the arm out in front. He should have concentrated on trying to get to the ball. Instead, he's trying to draw an interference penalty. But Thornburg with him stripe for stripe, and he does the right thing. Looks back at the quarterback.
Third down and 9 now. Looking one way and one way only to Kirkus. Stopped up at the 12-yard line.
But he's going to have the first down, and they had exactly what they wanted. I was very surprised that they're going to blitz in that situation. They really should have given Thornburg some help. But what they saw is that Thornburg was way, way off. Thornburg comes up and makes the tackle, but they're going to have the first down here on about the 13-yard line. And I'll be interested here in the calls as to whether or not they're content just to maybe settle for the field goal or go all the way in.
Brady back in at quarterback now, Todd, on first down and 10. Both quarterbacks have pretty much shared snaps today. Brady keeps it.
He's going to go.
Touchdown, Lakers. They take the lead.
What I was talking about, Mark, when I stated the obvious, which is, of course, they wanted to get into the end zone and score a touchdown, but the calls, were they going to throw the ball up? Were they going to be content to go off tackle? Instead, they go with what has been so effective, and that's Brady running the football. They call the quarterback draw. He goes up the middle. It's completely vacated. Touchdown, Lakers.
His second touchdown of the ball game. And Kurt Ains, after some good tutoring on the sidelines, with both him and Wojo, watches the touchdown run.
But again, the blocking at the point of attack is outstanding. And when you go in from 12 yards out, standing up, that says a lot about the fact that your friends are getting the job done.
Fourth extra point. Sontag knocks it through, and Grand Valley State, undefeated in 13 games this year, looking for number 14. They have the lead, but plenty of football remaining for North Dakota when we come back.
There's really been no easy way to remove a strip screw until now. It's the innovative Craftsman screw-out damaged screw removers. Available only from Sears, it's the fast, easy way to remove damaged screws. Unlike ordinary screwdrivers or driver bits, the Craftsman screw-out damaged screw removers are able to dig in, get that needed resistance, and twist the screw out. It's made of heavy-duty steel, and it can work with either a drill or a hand driver. So call now. Get 3 different sized bits and case for only $19.99. Or head over to Sears. With this tool, you can take on almost any screw. Phillips, slotted, Torx, hex, even works on rusted screws. Painted over screws, too. Yep, Craftsman makes anything possible. Craftsman screw-out damaged screw removers, the easy way out. Call now and order yours for only $19.99.
To order your set of 3 Craftsman screw-out damaged screw removers, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-772-4449.
This holiday season, the compact Presario 5000 TPC will come bearing gifts, like a free color printer, a $50 instant rebate, and free shipping. Not to mention a powerful Intel Pentium 4 processor and Microsoft Windows XP Home Edition, all for just $849. And you don't even need to travel afar. Call 1-800-331-4120 to buy now. You'll get 1 great PC and 3 great gifts.
Under the bright lights of Brawley Stadium in Florence, Alabama, the fans cheering, fans all the way from Michigan, from North Dakota, from Allendale, Michigan, from Grand Forks, North Dakota. Their purity and their ambitions captured here on the football field today. They're playing for a national title. Kurt Ains, the injured quarterback for Grand Valley State on the right, and his understudy, Ryan Brady, running for a touchdown moments ago, his second of the game, to give them the lead over this man's team, North Dakota. Dale Lennon in his 3rd year as head coach. Over 107 years of North Dakota football, they have never won a national title. They seek their first, as they will get possession of the ball starting from their own 20-yard line. First down and 10 for the Fighting Sioux. Wojciechowski and Brady will take a knee and watch anxiously from the sideline. Kelby Klosterman in a quarterback. He's gone the distance for North Dakota, but his passing statistics do not impress. He's 6 of 22.
Well, of course, now this gives him a chance to get some rhythm. And I'm surprised here as they come out with their 2 tight end set with 2:42 remaining. Yes, they can still run the ball a little bit, but he's going to have to get the ball up the field.
2:42 to go in the 4th period. Wasserman, incomplete, intended for Graff. And Barnes almost had a pick in the process.
I'm surprised that they haven't come out with a 3 or 4 wide receiver set here. I mean, who are you fooling? You've got to get the ball up the field.
Come on, ball, come to me.
Barnes has had a very good game. Remember that this is a very good cornerback from Berkeley, California. What are you doing out in Allendale, Michigan?
He likes the climate.
But he has made some good plays. 6 interceptions on the season, 17 pass breakups to lead the team.
He's the one that matches up against the opposing best receiver. 2nd down and 10. Washington with time. Incomplete. Should have been caught by Jesse Smith. And it's 3rd and 10.
Should have been caught, but in fairness to him, that ball was thrown a little bit behind him. And I'm thinking now with 2:31 remaining, Mark, this is 4-down territory.
13 and 1 on the season. Trying to stay alive. University of North Dakota. 3rd down and 10 from their own 20. Perkarevich in the backfield. 3-receiver formation. Draft to the top of your screen. Washington escapes, but he'll be short of the first down by about 3 yards. Hawkins making the stop.
But that's okay. Instead of throwing the ball downfield for an incompletion hanging in the pocket, he did the right thing and to run up the field. And now with the clock remaining, the debate is to whether or not to use the timeout, and they decide to right there.
North Dakota uses its first timeout of the half. They have 2 remaining. Time to press the right buttons for Dale Lennon. They trail when we come back.
Hey, Sean, want to go snowboarding?
Who's going to take us to the slopes?
Right here. Play TV snowboarder. Just plug it into the TV and on the slopes. Watch.
Cool. Look at that method.
Trick run, slalom, half pipe, and big air competition.
Whoa, you got a steel thing.
With Play TV Snowboarder, your body on the board moves the snowboard on the screen.
Try me. That's cool.
No problem.
Get the jump, get the jump.
It's so real, the better you board, the better you'll do. No snow, no problem. Play TV Snowboarder from Radica, as real as it gets. Rated E for everyone. Batteries not included.
I can't stand looking at that thing.
I think it's cool. It's Suzuki's first sport utility ATV, the all-new Vincent 500 automatic.
You realize that thing's the reason you're here.
Oh, I like it here. It's warm, dry.
Let me tell you, that Vincent's one hard working.
Hey, keep out of it.
You're not the boss of me.
I don't
and you know
believe
what?
you,
I
George,
would
but-
appreciate.
It's got style and a ton of great features.
Will you shut up?
Or you'll do what? Stare him to death?
Very funny.
14-10, Lakers over the Fighting Sioux with 2:10 to play in the ball game. And folks, don't forget, tonight on ESPN2, a double dip of college hoops. North Carolina State taking on Preston Shumpert at number 9, Syracuse from the Dome. And then Villanova takes on Temple in a battle of Philadelphia at 8 Eastern time, 5 Pacific.
You know, play I like here, 4th and 2, an option. If they run an option, yeah, why not?
Got to get to the 30-yard line. Osman's going to take it himself. And he got the first down. Clock keeps running. Now they'll stop it while they move the chains. With 2:03 to go.
Get as many blockers in front as you can, and that's exactly what happened. Key block to the outside was by Jesse Smith, a wide receiver who was able to drop the strong safety. He's been struggling catching the ball, but he had a big block there. Get a first down for the Fighting Sioux.
A field goal will not do. They trail by 4. Late substitutions for the Lakers. First down and 10 for North Dakota. They come on a blitz. They had the right call. Perkarevich brought down well in the open field at the 41 by Mackey.
Perkarevich needed one more step to get out of bounds because he was indeed tackled inbounds, even though he rolled out. Good hustle on the part of Mackey, who is a sprint champion in the conference up there in the 100 meters.
North Dakota with 2 timeouts remaining.
Another thing, Mark, when you win games as decisive, these 2 teams are winning. They're not used to moving with alacrity in terms of the 2-minute drill.
Osterman incomplete at midfield, intended for Schluster.
Actually, that's a blessing. It really is. Because if he catches that ball, yes, it's a first down, but then they bleed off another 15 seconds off the clock in terms of moving the sticks and huddling and everything else. So now the clock stops. And I say that because it's 4-down territory.
3rd down and 4.
Need to be in the huddle at this point and calling 2 plays, Mark.
4 receiver set. Osterman under pressure. And brought down at the 41-yard line by number 91, Dan Vaughn.
They've got to call their second timeout here. And again, that falls into the heading of coverage sack because he had a good 4.5 to 5 seconds to get the ball downfield.
The Lakers have shown a propensity here on the last drive to bring a little pressure. And Notre Dame, North Dakota, I'm looking at the logo. North Dakota calls for second timeout. Let's go downstairs to Dave.
All right, guys, this is the name tag for Eric Schmidt, the linebacker for North Dakota. It says the North Dakota Fighting Sioux on it, but the original name tags given to them by the folks here in Florence said the North Dakota State Fighting Sioux. Kind of a lack of respect for North Dakota and their arch rivals from Fargo, about 70 miles to the northeast, who have won 5 NCAA Division II championships. The guys really trying to forget the name of North Dakota State and make their own history today for the first time in their school history to win a national championship. They want North Dakota to be remembered more than State after this game today.
Well, now the onus, excuse me, go ahead, Mark.
Certainly has been a rallying point for them during the course of the last few days.
What I was about to say with regards to Klosterman is this. I mentioned last time they should have had 2 plays called. Now they're going to need to, because even if they do get the first down, the clock is going to start to bleed itself, and they need to be in a position to bounce up and be ready to go. They have to go for they have to get a touchdown, obviously. A field goal does them no good. So 2 plays should have been called in the huddle.
4th down and 4. They've got to get to the 45-yard line. Lakers showing a blitz. Wrap in motion. The defining point of the game for North Dakota, and they convert. Schlussner still up.
What a great block by Smith. He's
Brought down at the 1-yard line. 1 yard short, 58 yards in all.
And we talked about Jesse Smith. We talked about Jesse Smith, the struggles that he had been having in catching the ball. He comes downfield, and it's an absolutely huge block to enable Schlussner to get down the field. You live with the blitz, you die with the blitz, and that's what happens. He cuts back to the middle of the field. Now watch the left of your screen. Number 2 is going to come in there. He's going to drop Mackey. That enables Schlussner to get to the outside, and even though he's hustling, Graff can't quite get it. It becomes a game-saving tackle by number 48. That's Eric Vandenberg.
He came a long way. 1st and goal for the Fighting Sioux. On the brink of taking the lead and perhaps a national championship. Perkarevich, touchdown.
What a turn of events. What a turn of events. I'm telling you right now, Mark, 4th and 5, they come with the blitz. I'm thinking they're not going to get it. Instead, Schlussner makes the catch. Smith gets a block. He goes down the field. Wow.
Ames telling his quarterback buddies this isn't over.
But, of course, everybody is jammed in to stop him, and Perkarevich does a nice job, uses his vision, gets to the outside. There's no contain. Easy touchdown for number 37.
He's run 26 times for a total of 96 yards. And with 29 seconds to play, North Dakota takes the lead.
Now, as you pointed out, Mark, you're absolutely right. And if for whatever reason Paterka decides that he wants to go with the split kick, which I think at this point would make no sense,
does he
still have a shot at, yeah. Well, why not? Why not? You know, he's got nearly 100, or he's over 100 yards rushing. He's been tremendous. And, of course, that O-line has created some gaps for him. And, of course, you know, the philosopher once said that the purpose of life was to maximize your emotional income. Well, this has certainly been the yin and yang. If you talked to me, what, Mark, 2 minutes ago, you're thinking the Grand Valley State is set for a celebration. Instead, it turns around completely.
It's North Dakota, folks, not North Dakota State. They are making their own stamp on the college football world right here, right now.
And I tell you what, they're going to want to have Dave Ryan as their mascot, because right when he makes that report, right, certainly it turns around and Klosterman, who's been so ineffective, delivers the ball right on the money to Schlussner, does the rest.
As if on cue. Grand Valley State University, though, trying to rally one another on the sidelines. Ojahowski, their quarterback, set to take the reins of the offense on this perhaps final drive of the ball game. He's 9 of 19 passing, 103 yards total. And a look at some of the despair on the sidelines from the defense, the Grand Valley State. It's time to lift themselves up if they hope to win this game.
His teammate Jerome Knox is telling him that very thing. Short kick, Lesniak. Oh, my goodness.
Flag down on the play. Lesniak still up.
Wow. Lesniak. What a tackle. What a tackle by Kirkman. But the flag is down at the 30, and I think that's going to bring it back. I have not seen a tackle like that by a kicker since Darren Bennett dropped. I can't remember the name of the Pittsburgh receiver.
A 48-yard return.
Wow. What a shame.
Which might have been, Todd.
Oh, I'm telling you. Boy, I tell you, that Lesniak's exciting. He's got some quick feet.
On return, we have holding on receiving team. We'll penalize 10 yards from the spot. First down.
Let's take one more look and find out where the penalty came.
Right there, that's where it comes out. Holding just a little bit, it appears. I think that might have been Taryn Banks. Well, that was, gee, Mark, that's close.
Ooh. Ooh.
Close.
Wojciechowski in a quarterback. He's a guy that can sling a little better on first down and 10. Incomplete. Intended for Banks. Thornburg providing the coverage.
You saw Banks point back. I'm sorry, you saw Banks point back to the inside. He said, I needed it over that shoulder because that's where I had him shielded. Throw it to the post, not over my back shoulder, but you know what? Easy to say when you're downfield as opposed to when you have 5 guys in your face as a quarterback.
Sure, Todd. And Verdaines watching with angst from the sideline. Second down and 10. It's out of his hands right now. And in the hands of Wojciechowski. The screen. Banks. And a flag down. That'll be a block in the back. With 4 seconds to go.
Spearman, that boy, flags came from all over. Hits Eric Schmidt right between the 4 and the 0.
With 4 seconds to go, Grand Valley State University's unblemished, undefeated season hanging in the balance right now, on the brink of blowing up in smoke. North Dakota would be the first team to defeat them in 20 tries. They're 4 seconds away. Look at some of the fans that made the trip from Allendale, Michigan, 10 miles outside of Grand Rapids.
I tell you what, this has really been exciting. And one of the things that you need to point out here, Mark, is that usually in Division II games or in some of the divisions below Division I, it's a sloppy, not well played, fumbles, penalties, all sorts of things. I've been very impressed with the fact that there's been a minimum of mental errors,
right.
You know.
Right.
And that both teams have been so highly competitive. You know, there have been plenty of times where each side could have said, forget it, you know, I'm giving up. Just battle right down to the wire. This has been terrific. Really, really good drama. Good theater today.
There's been a certain purity about the way that both these teams and their coaching staffs approach the game here.
Well, the reality is that
appreciation for it.
For most of the seniors, if not all, this is their last football game. They're not going on to riches and being a first-round pick and that sort of thing. This game is monumental for them.
On the other side of the field for North Dakota, there are 17 of those such seniors that you talk about. Playing in, like you said, maybe their final game. And with 17 seniors, you have smarts, you have leadership, you have temerity, you have toughness. The type of toughness that can bring them back from the brinks of defeat. 3 seconds to go. It's complete to Lesniak. They need to start lateraling, and they don't. It's over. North Dakota are the 2001 Division II champs.
I think we need to mention here, we talked about trying to put the specter of North Dakota State behind them. Dale Lennon, the head coach, pointed out to us that Fighting Sioux football has existed for more than 100 years. And so you see the magnitude of this celebration. That's a century's worth of pent-up emotion right there at midfield of Brawley Stadium.
And it is flowing right now. Let's go downstairs to Dave with the winning coach.
All right, I guess the mustache has got to come off. 107 years of Fighting Sioux football. You finally have a national championship. Can you put the emotions into words right now, Dale?
You know, I really can't. Very special. The guys just never gave up, and we found a way to win.
On 4th and 40, do you think there was any chance that whole play was going to go all the way to the 1-yard line?
Well, it's just one of those things. We told the guys never give up. I told Calby go out there, have some fun, and let's score. And he basically did it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our party starting in Grand Forks, North Dakota right now, Mark.
Yeah, it's 16 degrees up there, but it's starting to heat up very quickly. The final score once again from Florence, Alabama, 17-14 for North Dakota. Coming up next, 2001 Wendy's High School Heisman presentation. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, your home for college football and on the internet. Well, it took a while for the party to get started, but it ended with an exclamation point. For Dave Ryan and Todd Christensen, I'm Mark Jones saying so long from Florence.
The Statue of Liberty has been a symbol of freedom for 115 years. From this tiny island, you can see downtown Manhattan, the site of the tragedy of September 11th, and nearby, the Downtown Athletic Club, home of the Heisman Trophy. This weekend, 12 of our country's brightest young scholar athletes are here to be honored for their hard work and dedication